Chapter 553. Together, my lord. Shuel Yin bit her lips. Yi Zichen smiled to signal her not to worry, then walked forward with squinted eyes. From now on, the Snow Rabbit clan will be under my protection. From now onwards, the Snow Rabbit clan will be under my protection. Anyone weak enough to dare provoke me will die. You really know how to act, Bang. Someone from the Blue-Eyed Cat clan had just opened his mouth, but before he could finish speaking, his body exploded and he died. I don't want to waste my breath. Whoever dares to provoke me will end up like him. Yi Zichen's eyes were filled with a cold light. The leading Blue-Eyed Cat clan man gulped. At that moment, a hand appeared on his shoulder and pulled him back. Sacred Envoy. This isn't something you can deal with. Leave it to me. With a faint smile, the man walked over with a light smile. He took out a key from his bosom, and the top of the key was shining brightly. Candidate, it seems like you got here first, Yi Zichen smiled, then took out a key as well. When the two keys met, they both shone with intense light, as if they wanted to devour the other's light. You took it out just like that? Aren't you afraid that I'll snatch it? The man smiled. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then took a step back, while Yang Jian walked out with his lance in hand. Boom. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then took a step back. At the same time, Yang Jian walked out with his lance. Boom. The pressure of a sky immortal level spiritual energy instantly burst forth, causing the surrounding people to be unable to help but kneel onto the ground. The man also raised his eyebrows, then took a step back as well. Then, a Hulk appeared beside him. The same sky immortal pressure was released from the Hulk's body, causing both Shuel Yin and the blue-eyed man to gulp. Two monarchs. It seems like everyone came prepared since they dared to come here. Alright, since this friend has already set up camp with the Snow Rabbit clan, then I won't go and annoy you. However, you shouldn't mind if I set up camp in the forest opposite the Snow Rabbit clan, right? The man replied with a smile. Up to you. As long as you don't cause trouble with the Snow Rabbit clan, then I don't care. With that, Yi Zichen turned around and walked into the village. Yang Jian, Zuemo and the rest of the Snow Rabbit clan also followed him in. Sacred Envoy. The blue-eyed man called out. This forest will be our encampment. Tai Nyo, I'll leave it to you. The Sky Immortal nodded. Suddenly, a huge blade of air appeared in his palm and he slashed towards the forest. Without any obstruction, a smooth cut was carved out of the forest, including the top of the mountain. At this moment, the man smiled faintly and slammed his right hand on the ground. A manner appeared out of thin air above the sliced noodles. Let's go. But this garden might be a little too small. There will be guests coming soon. The man shook his head and smiled. Then he raised his eyebrows and said, Forget it. We'll talk about it when the time comes. With that, he walked into the manor with his hands behind his back. Thank you for your help, my lord. Shuel Yin continuously thanked Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head. Clan Chief Shui, I can help you now, but I can't help you forever. I can see that you are very strong, at least you are, very strong. That blue-eyed cat is much weaker than you, but you only know how to argue and cry when facing him. How long do you think your tribe can survive in this village? But we snow rabbits don't like fighting. Shuel Yin bit her lips. Your dislike will only get the other parties disdain and insatiable. It's good to want peace, but the prerequisite for peace is to use force to make the other party wary. They won't dare to touch you, they can't touch you. Only when you want peace will that be true peace. Yi Zichen didn't want to say all that, but he didn't expect people to find this place so quickly. He didn't know how many keys there were, but he was certain that this place would definitely be a place where many parties would fight over. Perhaps he would help the Snow Rabbit clan chase away all the people who provoked them, but what if they leave? If the Snow Rabbit clan continued to avoid them, then what awaited them would only be extinction. Zichen. Yi Zichen let out a soft sigh and shook his head. Clan Chief Shui, don't worry about us. Go do what you need to do. Yes, my lord. Shuelyan was still as timid as ever. Zuemo only spoke after Shuelyan left. Zuemo only spoke up after Shuelyan left. Why did you say something like that? Didn't we come here because of the Snow Rabbit clan's purity and aloofness? Weren't you just forcing them to change? What do you know? Have you experienced war? Do you know what despair is? Yi Zichen roared angrily with a frown. When your cowardice brings you unforgettable pain, when you are helpless in the face of despair, do you know what that feels like? I'm doing this to save them, do you understand? All right, I don't understand anything. Then I'll leave. Zuemo bit her lips and left the room. Yi Zichen hugged his head and closed his eyes. Bro, Yang Jian patted Yi Zichen's shoulder. Others might not understand you, but I do. So annoying, Yi Zichen shouted with a frown. What's so annoying about it? We'll deal with it when it comes. Don't you still have me? That person's key seems to have resonated with yours. Is that Mount Supreme's key too? Yang Jian chuckled as he looked at Wei Wei. Yes. Yi Zichen nodded noncommittally. As far as I know, there are already 5 keys. I just don't know how many there are in total. There are a total of 12 keys. A sudden reply sounded out in the room. Yi Zichen looked up and saw Ruan Qingtian appear at the door in a green robe with a fan in his hand. Behind him were Xiao Bai, Jail King, Zhuge Hong, and Zhuge Kongming. Boss. Lil White giggled and shouted. Big brother Yi. Zhuge Kongming also waved his hand. No, why are you all here? Yi Zichen exclaimed and stood up. Ruan Qingtian raised his eyebrows with a smile. We bumped into each other on the way here and chatted for a bit. I didn't expect us to know each other. Then how did you know I was here? As soon as he said that, he recalled Zuemo, who'd just left. Humph. Zuemo harumphed coldly, then walked out angrily while swinging her arms. Brother Yi, you're the first person to bully young ladies like that. Ruan Qingtian gave Yi Zichen a thumbs up. But Brother Yi is amazing. I've never told Brother Yi about Mount Supreme, but you actually managed to find your way here, and even found a place like this to set up camp. Impressive. It's just a coincidence. But since you all came, doesn't that mean? Yi Zichen frowned. Yi Zichen frowned. Ruan Qingtian nodded, that's right. Chapter 554. The God's Chosen 1-inch Young Master, Iron Bull walked out bare-chested. The man standing at the entrance of the manor nodded, then pointed at the Snow Rabbit clan. 3 keys went in just now. 3 keys went in just now. They already have 4 keys there. Do you want Iron Bull to help young master snatch them? Iron Bull glared. Snatch? Why should we? We already have 2 keys, that's more than enough. What's more, the people over there aren't weaklings. The man with the halberd should be the Heavenly Court's Yang Jian, right? He's already on par with you without opening his third eye. You won't be his match if he opens his third eye. The man cracked his neck. Also, the ones that went later, the Tiango clan and the Fire Phoenix clan. They are both peak clans in the Beast region. I didn't expect that Brat's circle to be so wide. Interesting. So what? Young Master just needs to remove a layer of the seal that Master put on Iron Bull, and they'll all die. Iron Bull snorted in disdain. That's not a good way of thinking, the young man frowned. The young man frowned and said, It's already not easy for us to come here. Do you want to alarm those old fellows by opening your restriction? Father also told us not to open the seal unless it's absolutely necessary. This subordinate was just saying. Iron Bull smiled coyly. But young master, are you going to let them gang up? That's not good for us. So what? Not everyone who comes here has a key, the young man smiled meaningfully. Iron Bull also nodded in understanding. Young master wants to borrow someone else's hand. An innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. An innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. They have 4 keys in their hands. Anyone would be jealous of them. The young man shrugged and said, Let's go back. There's nothing to see. The next time we come out, it'll be time to watch the show. Sirs, we, the Snow Rabbit clan, Shuelyen smiled apologetically as she served up a table of dishes, which were all vegetables without any meat. Alright, stop blaming yourself. I feel pretty good like this. Sorry for troubling clan head Shuelyen, Yi Zichen nodded with a smile. My words just now might have been a bit harsh. I hope clan head Shui doesn't mind it too much. I wouldn't dare. Moreover, what you said is the truth. Shuelyen shook her head and said with a smile, if you have any instructions, just call me. I won't disturb everyone's meal. Ruan Qingtian couldn't help but shake his head as Shuelyen left the room. This kind of character is not suitable to live in this era. I feel pretty good. I've already thought it through. If it really doesn't work, I'll bring them back to the treasure tower. I'll take care of them, Zuemo snorted. Ruan Qingtian raised his eyebrows, then shook his head without saying anything else. Why are you shaking your head? Zuemo frowned. He thinks you're childish. Bring the Snow Rabbit clan back to the treasure tower. Don't forget where the treasure tower is. It's the immortal region. Not including the Holy Land, you are indeed powerful, but would the people of the Holy Land allow the Beastmen to live in their land? If they could, do you think the Beastmen would live in this dimensional space? Zuemo bit her lips. Alright, what's there to argue about? Ruan Qingtian said, but Brother Ye's words are not without reason. Miss Swa's thoughts are still open to discussion. You're ganging up on me. Stop talking. We're not gathered here for the Snow Rabbit clan, said Zhuge Hong with a frown. We'll talk about the arrangements for the Snow Rabbit clan after Mount Supreme ends. Those sitting here are all peak forces of the various realms. They will always be given a place to rest. My mother is right. If you really can't do it, you can go to our Fire Phoenix clan. My mother's words are very influential in the clan, Zhuge Kongming chuckled. You little fellow, Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile, then raised his sake cup. It's not easy for us to get together. Cheers. Can I drink it? Zhuge Kongming pouted. Zhuge Hong nodded. Only then did he excitedly raise his cup and smile. Long time no see, Brother Yi. I'd like to propose a toast to Brother Yi. After 3 rounds of wine, the dishes on the table were almost finished. Lil White and Zhuge Kongming ran outside to play with the kids of the Snow Rabbit village. Yi Zichen sat on the chair and looked at the people in the room. Yi Zichen looked at the others in the room. How long until Mount Supreme opens? No one knows for sure. Ruan Qingtian raised his eyebrows with a smile. Ruan Qingtian raised his eyebrows and smiled. We only know from the key that it's about to open, but we'll have to wait for the Chosen One to enter. But since it hasn't opened yet, it's clear that none of us are the Chosen One. Chosen One? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. The one who left Mount Supreme behind was a Sky Supreme expert of the God race. His main body was the Niflheim dragon. Before he died, he left his entire life's worth of cultivation in Mount Supreme's inheritance. At the same time, he looked forward to the appearance of the Chosen One and the appearance of Mount Contentment, Zhuge Hong explained. There's actually a story like that, Yi Zichen nodded. Then your keys. The Endless Beast region obtained 4 keys when Lord Niflheim Dragon died. They are controlled by the peak clans of the 4 continents, Zhuge Hong replied. Doesn't that mean the key to the central continent is in the dragon race, said Jail King. The Fox Yaos are indeed very strong, but they aren't of the Sacred Beast generals. Our key was given to us by the Black Tortoise clan. They don't like fighting, nor do they have any ambitions towards Mount Supreme. As for the other key, it's with the White Tiger. The sudden commotion on Mount Supreme clearly means that the Chosen One has already obtained the key. What we need to do now is wait for the Chosen One to come. Of course, we still have a choice. Ruan Qingtian raised his eyebrows. We can choose to befriend the Chosen One, or we can kill him after we find him. When that happens, the inheritance will naturally become everyone's treasure. Anyone who enters Mount Supreme will have a chance to fight for it. If we befriend him, then we can only take some of Niflheim Dragon's treasures. Of course, those treasures are definitely not normal. This little brother is right, but we Tiango clan aren't too interested in the inheritance. It's up to you guys whether we kill the chosen one or not, especially you. Jail King looked towards Yi Zichen. Young master will definitely choose the choice you made. Are you telling me a tongue twister? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance. At that moment, Zhuge Hong also spoke up. We, the Fire Phoenix clan, will also follow your choice. It's up to you whether or not to kill him. Since everyone has chosen that way, then I'll follow as well. I'll listen to Brother Yi as well, Yuan Qingtian replied with a smile. When Yi Zichen saw everyone's reactions, he suddenly felt that. Chapter 555. Rules of the Black-Robed Man. Yi Zichen smiled wryly. How was it that he'd become the leader of this group? Furthermore, he was in charge of the Chosen One's life and death. To be honest, to be able to become the Chosen One had to have some strength and luck. Would the other party act like a retard and allow himself to be trampled upon? Don't be like this. I'll feel pressured. What's there to feel pressured about? But it's still too early to talk about this. We still don't know who the Chosen One is, nor do we know if he's a friend or foe. Yuan Qingtian smiled faintly. I don't care. I'll do whatever young master tells me to do. Jail King shrugged. Pavilion Master Yuan is right. It's still too early. Zhuge Hong smiled and nodded. That being said, we still have to keep an eye on the Chosen One's movements. Everyone should have seen it on the way here. Yuan Qingtian pursed his lips and smiled meaningfully towards the Snow Rabbit clan. The people over there are also here for Mount Supreme. It seems like they're not with us. That kid has at least 2 keys. Jail King narrowed his eyes and replied, I wanted to snatch it when I came, but I sensed an expert and didn't do anything. Speaking of robbing, there are some things that I have to say here. Yuan Qingtian stood up from the chair and closed the door. Since everyone here is related to Brother Yi, we can establish an alliance. Since that's the case, we have 4 keys in our hands. Mount Supreme was a legacy of Sky Immortals, and even immortal kings would fight for it. However, there were only a few keys, and not everyone could obtain the key. If we talk about robbing, I think we'll be the target of everyone. Yi Zichen suddenly fell silent. Actually, he had thought of that as well. Since the Jade Emperor wanted to obtain the inheritance, it was clearly not an ordinary inheritance. If there were no surprises, the 3 realms would all send people here. The Immortal Region's sacred lands, the Underworld, the Heavenly Court. The people of these 3 sides also said that he could speak a few words with the Heavenly Court, Underworld, and even the people of the Immortal Region. What he was afraid of was that it wasn't someone from the 3 realms, or an expert from outside the Immortal Region. Yi Zichen had always acknowledged that treasures belonged to the capable. However, he was worried about the Snow Rabbit clan. The Snow Rabbit race had always stood aloof from worldly affairs, but because of Mount Supreme, they were dragged into it. At that time, if someone really tried to snatch it, it would definitely be a fierce battle. At that time, how about we retreat from the Snow Rabbit's side? Yi Zichen licked his lips. Zhuge Hong shook her head. No. As soon as she finished speaking, she opened her mouth again. I know you don't want the Snow Rabbit clan to be affected, but their position means that they won't have a peaceful life in the future. Although we might bring trouble to them by staying here, it's also a form of protection for them. I agree with Sister Fire Phoenix. Jail King nodded. Mount Supreme is on their side. Even if we leave, others will come and occupy it. Not everyone in the 3 realms is kind. Let's stay here and have a look. I think it's good for us to stay here. Yang Jian could not help but say, Have you forgotten what happened this morning? Then we'll do as you say. Yi Zichen nodded plainly. Yuan Qingtian also smiled. Let's go. During this period of time, we also have to pay attention to the spatial landing point. Observing the Chosen One is the first task. Secondly, knowing yourself and your enemy is the key to victory. We always have to pay attention to the people who come. If there are keys, try to rope them in. If there aren't, then we have to be careful. A group of people appeared outside Mount Biluo. They were none other than Zhuo Mo's second uncle, Zhuo Hongxin's entire team. If nothing unexpected happened, Zhuo Hongxin would have to pay a huge price for this group of people to fall into Du Xingsun's hands. He had already staked everything on one throw. He wanted Zhuo Mo to die here. As long as Zhuo Mo was dead, everything else would be easy. Miss Zhuo Mo's car. The coachman noticed the Earth Dragon carriage they left outside Mount Biluo. Zhuo Hongxin glanced at the guest chamberlain beside him. The guest chamberlain ran out to take a look, then shook his head. Looks like my disobedient niece has already entered. Zhuo Hongxin snorted, then raised his eyebrows at the guests around him. Success or failure depends on this. Don't waste the money I gave you. We definitely won't disappoint Master. Everyone cupped their hands towards Zhuo Hongxin. Just as they were about to enter, a black-robed man with a foxtail grass in his mouth appeared at Mount Biluo's teleportation point. There are too many of you. If you want to enter, choose 4. The black-robed man said in a hoarse voice. Who are you to care about this and that? The coachman frowned. The black-robed man glanced at him and snorted coldly. Ugh. The coachman felt the blood in his chest churn, then spat out a mouthful of blood. If you want to enter Mount Biluo, then do as I say. If you speak any more nonsense, then all of you can stay here. Zhuo Hongxin frowned as a terrifying spiritual energy pressure pressed down on them from all directions. He raised his hand in shock and frowned. What do you mean? Did I speak in a dialect? The black-robed man rebuked. If you want to, choose 4. If you don't want to, then all of you can stay here. It just so happens that I'm quite lonely here. A pitch-black hand glowing with purple light burrowed out of the black-robed man's shoulder, then grabbed a sky immortal expert beside Zhuo Hongxin. Crack. It was crushed. I'll give you time to think, but every 10 seconds, I'll help you eliminate one person, until there are only 4 of you left. The black-robed man smiled faintly. Zhuo Hongxin's heart bled when he saw this. Sky Immortal. That was a confidant he'd spent countless resources to nurture, but this black-robed man killed him just like that. Especially after hearing what he said, he would kill more. Just who was this person? He'd never heard of such a powerful person in the outer immortal region. Instantly killing a Sky Immortal expert. Heh, why are you still here? Are you going to let Grandpa Ma catch you again? Just then, Du Xingsun arrived with his disciple Ma Ting and a group of bandits. Ma Ting was naturally the one who'd been talking trash. So it's you guys. Zhuo Hongxin frowned deeply. It was this group of people that caused him to spend nearly 100 years of savings. 10 seconds are up. The black-robed man snorted. The tentacle appeared again, grabbing another Sky Immortal expert. Don't. Crack. It was crushed. Oh my God. Ma Ting trembled in fright. He subconsciously glanced at the black-robed man, only to hear the black-robed man say in a hoarse voice, If you want to enter, then hurry up and enter. Yes, yes, yes. Du Xingsun and Ma Ting's group left one after another. Zhuo Hongxin frowned. Why are they? Chapter 556. Third Fatty Gene has returned. Even if Zhuo Hongxin was an idiot, he could guess that the black-robed man was purposely targeting him. However, he had never offended an expert of this level before. He had always been extremely careful with his actions. Don't even mention angering an expert of this level. He had to be careful with his words. However, the black-robed man didn't care about that. He continued counting down. 2, 1. Whoosh. The tentacle appeared from the black-robed man's shoulder again. Zhuo Hongxin shouted. Don't I choose? Smack. The moment he finished speaking, the tentacle had already chosen one of the people he'd brought with him and crushed it. It was clear that the black-robed man's actions were done in accordance with the strength of his subordinates. From the strongest to the weakest, There was only one sky immortal expert left among Zhuo Hongxin's trusted aides, but he was only an early-stage sky immortal. You're too slow. I've already finished counting down, and you're only choosing now, the black-robed man shrugged with a smile, then turned to Zhuo Hongxin, whose face had already turned green. Choose. Be quick. If you're too slow, I'll continue. Creak. He gritted his teeth, then let out a long sigh of relief. He chose the sky immortal expert, as well as 2 other guest chamberlains who were skilled in formations and calculations. Sir, I'm done. Zhuo Hongxin lowered his head humbly. The black-robed man looked up and nodded in satisfaction. I know 4 people, including you. Not bad. I thought you'd choose more. I'll have to help you eliminate another person. All right, it's 4 of you. Go in. Master, then we wait here. Once the black-robed man leaves, then. Zhuo Hongxin wanted to give them a few more instructions, but the black-robed man sitting on the ground snorted unhappily. Hurry up and leave. Do you want me to send you there? Zhuo Hongxin and the guest chamberlains' shoulders trembled. Zhuo Hongxin signaled to the smarter guest chamberlains, then cupped his hands at the black-robed man and led his people into the teleportation point. You guys, after Zhuo Hongxin and the others left, the black-robed man patted the dust off his robe and stood up. After witnessing his ability to kill people invisibly, the foreign chamberlains who stayed here subconsciously swallowed their saliva and stepped back. Don't be nervous. As long as you don't provoke me, I won't kill you. As soon as he finished speaking, he casually threw a few stones on the ground, forming a square that was about 10 meters in length and width. Walk in yourself. Don't make me do it. Tap tap tap, all the guests trotted in. When all of them entered, a shield immediately rose around the stone, trapping them inside. Stay in there. When everything is over, you will naturally come out alive. Of course, the prerequisite is that you don't starve to death. Shuelyan cleverly left the Snow Rabbit Clan's meeting hall for Yi Zichen and company to use. Of course, the past few days had also been filled with fear. Emperor. He was even an Imperial Lord. She didn't even know how many Imperial Lords she had seen in the past few days. It could be said that she had seen more Imperial Lords in the past few days than she had in her entire life. More and more people have entered Mount Biluo these past few days. Ruan Qingtian held a cup of flower tea in his hand, which Yi Zichen had received from his phone in the modern realm. Brother Yi, your flower tea is pretty good, Ruan Qingtian smiled. Hee. Yi Zichen smiled. He really couldn't be as calm as Ruan Qingtian at a time like this. Any news on Zhuo Hongxin recently? No. Ruan Qingtian curled his lips and shrugged. I only saw them enter that day. I have no idea where they went after that. I haven't seen them around these few days, but they probably aren't interested in Mount Supreme. They're here for, with that, Ruan Qingtian winked at Zhuemo, don't give me that look. I know he's coming for me. Zhuemo rolled her eyes. They're also prepared to fight with their backs to the wall. They want to finish me off here, but they might not be that lucky. Don't underestimate the enemy. They did have plenty of experts on their side. With Yang Jian, Jail King and Zhuge Hong, it would be extremely difficult for Zhuo Hongxin to deal with Zhuemo. However, Ruan Qingtian couldn't help but remind Zhuemo to be careful. Who knows what kind of tricks Zhuo Hongxin might play? I know. Zhuemo pursed her lips with a smile, then raised her eyebrows. Are you worried about me? Oh, the sky outside seems pretty nice today. Brother Qingtian, let's go out for a walk. Yi Zichen stretched lazily and stood up from the chair. Ruan Qingtian raised his eyebrows with a smile, then nodded towards Yi Zichen. I think that's a pretty good choice. Damn, I'm so pissed. Zhuemo stomped her feet angrily as she watched the 2 people leave the room. I feel like someone went over there. Yi Zichen, who was strolling around the outskirts of the Snow Rabbit tribe, glanced over at the manor. Someone did go over, but they don't have keys, Ruan Qingtian replied. There's a need to be careful if they don't have keys. They'll come and steal it. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. Stealing is a given. We can't avoid it, it's just a matter of time. Ruan Qingtian's attitude was unusually good, and he wasn't bothered by any problems at all. You're pretty open-minded, Yi Zichen said. I came here to get some treasures. I don't care about inheritances or what not. I've already prepared for the worst. Even if they steal my key, one key can carry 3 people, and that doesn't include the person with the key. You'll take me in, right? Ruan Qingtian smiled. We'll see. Yi Zichen couldn't help but chuckle at Ruan Qingtian's frivolous words, but at that very moment, hey, is this a bandit's lair? Laozi already ran all the way here, and you're still King chasing me? A fatty in a sweatshirt ran in front of them not far away. Behind him, there were 2 men with blindfolds. Don't think that they were chasing the fatty. The fatty was very agile, and the 2 men couldn't catch up at all. If it wasn't for the fact that he would stop and curse every now and then, he would have shaken them off a long time ago. Do you have any shame? Who's the bandit here? The 2 eye-patched men were on the verge of tears. Hurry up and return the key to us, or else we, the Tongshen 3 swordsmen, will fight you to the death. 3 swordsmen? There's only the 2 of you. The fatty mocked. What? Did you lose your cheap money? Did you go and buy cheap money? The fatty continued to run forward with a chuckle, while his expression was filled with disdain towards them. At the same time, Yi Zichen, who was not far away, couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. This familiar fatty and that cocky tone. Chapter 557. Battle erupts. Third fatty Jean had left a note before returning to the immortal region. Yi Zichen didn't expect them to meet again on Mount Biluo. He probably came for Mount Supreme as well. Chase me. If you catch up to me, then I'll let you. Third fatty Jean would stop after running a few steps, then shake his head at the 2 eye-patched men behind him. The 2 eye-patched men clenched their teeth in anger, and tried their best to chase after third fatty Jean. Junior brother, that's enough. You should have played enough, right? A man in a green shirt with a long sword in his arms appeared in the sky. The man had white hair, but he looked to be in his 20s. You can't blame me. What can I do if they want to chase after me? Third fatty Jean shrugged, then raised his eyebrows at the 2 eye-patched men. Stop chasing. Grandson, don't let us catch up to you. The eye-patched men continued to chase. The eye-patch man chased relentlessly. When the man holding the immortal sword saw this, he couldn't help but say, then you can play with them. However, I'm going to remove the magic from their legs. Third fatty Jean exclaimed when he saw this and pointed at the 2 men with eye patches. Don't. Third fatty Jean was a step too late. The man with the sword had already removed the spell. Then, the 2 men immediately felt their legs become much more relaxed, while the smiles on their faces turned playful. Fatty, hand over your life. Oh my God! Third fatty Jean was able to tease the 2 men because of his senior brother's spell. The moment the spell was removed, third fatty Jean instantly panicked. When he passed by Yi Zichen patted him on the shoulder to stop him, then stomped the ground with force. Crack. Cracks immediately appeared on the flat ground. The 2 blindfolded men also subconsciously stopped and looked ahead with vigilance. They did not dare to act rashly. Boss Yi. Third fatty Jean also revealed a look of joy when he saw Yi Zichen. It seemed like the 2 eye-patched men who were chasing him were very wary of Yi Zichen. Third fatty Jean felt like he would be letting himself down if he didn't act cool in a situation like that. Come on, chase me. Aren't you all quite capable and persevering? Look, the key is in my hand. You guys. Third fatty Jean took out a key from his pocket. When he saw the blinding light on the key, oh my God, how many keys are there around here? Don't you think what you're doing is a little indecent? Not only did you take it from our hands, but you're also flirting with us. That's not very graceful. The man with an eye patch on his right eye scolded. Third fatty Jean hurriedly put the key into his pocket and looked around vigilantly. The key to Mount Supreme belongs to the most capable. Since you're asking me to take the key, it only means that you're not strong enough. Even if I don't fight for you, there will be others who will fight for you here. Since that's the case, it's better to benefit me than to benefit others. You may leave. It is a great fortune for an Earth immortal to be able to find the key, but this is not a place where you can just stand around. Be careful not to lose your life. You've gone too far. The man with an eye patch on his left eye scolded angrily. With that, a sword appeared in his hand, and he began to use the surrounding celestial spiritual energy. The man with the eye patch on his right eye did the same. More importantly, their spiritual energy actually resonated with each other. Break! Yi Zichen raised his hand, causing a faint glow to appear on his palm. He directly crushed the swords that the two brothers sent out with his bare hands. Then, he stepped forward with his left foot, and swung his right hand forward. A powerful surge of spiritual energy surged along with his fist. Seeing that, the two eye-patched men quickly raised their swords to block. Ugh! Blood flowed from the corners of his mouth as Yi Zichen berated him. *CK off. Third Fatty Jean was a bit stunned. He didn't expect Yi Zichen to have grown so much in the few months that they haven't seen each other. He was already an Earth immortal when he first arrived in the modern realm, while Yi Zichen was only of the false spiritual body level. Now, he had only just stepped into the Sky Immortal level, but Yi Zichen was at least a late-stage Sky Immortal. I should say, as expected of the Yellow Emperor's reincarnation. Friend, isn't what you're doing a bit bad? As the two eye-patched men laid on the ground, a young man flew out from the manor in front of them. That young man was the person who wanted to take over the Snow Rabbit clan. Long time no see. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and smiled. There was nothing wrong with what Yi Zichen said. It had already been a week since Yi Zichen last saw him. It hasn't been that long, right? You might not have noticed me, but I've been paying attention to you guys. The young man smiled, then cupped his hands. I don't think we've exchanged names. Bien Tianrue. Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen replied with a smile. Brother Yi, Bien Tianrue nodded. Bien Tianrue nodded, then walked in front of the two men and lifted them up with a smile. Brother Ye's friends stole the keys from these two friends. Isn't that a bit unreasonable? I wonder if Brother Yi can. No. Yi Zichen interrupted Bien Tianrue's words with a hint of playfulness. Don't try to be a mediator here. Everyone who came here knows very well. Having a key now doesn't mean that you'll still have a key when Mount Supreme opens. Stealing and being robbed are all too common. The reason you haven't done anything yet is mainly because you're not confident. Brother Yi is rather confident, said Bien Tianrue. I'm just speaking the truth. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a smile. I think the people over at your place are definitely lamenting about how unfortunate it is that all the people with the keys know me. My team is getting stronger day by day, so what can you do even if you keep taking in people without keys? Brother Yi, what are you saying? Bien Tianrue smiled, then nodded. That's right. Right now, the two of us have become the two factions before entering Mount Supreme. However, Brother Yi is too confident. I can't help but want to see where your confidence comes from. Clap. Yi Zichen clapped his hands, causing a group of people to fly out from Bien Tianrue's manor and stand behind him, then stared ahead. At the same time, the experts that remained in the Snow Rabbit clan also dared to come over and stared ahead coldly. The atmosphere suddenly became abnormally heavy. It seems like it can't be avoided. Bien Tianrue smiled. Chapter 558. Can't beat Third Fatty Jean, who had just arrived, was a little panicked. What kind of situation was this? Could it be that they were going to fight just because he snatched a key? Looking at the strength of both sides, they couldn't be underestimated. However, he was more concerned about Yi Zichen's side. The Heavenly Court, the Beast region. If he was included, that would be 3 major powers. These factions were as incompatible as fire and water, Yet Yi Zichen was able to befriend them all at the same time, and even prevent them from fighting each other. Amazing! Thank you for your concern, Brother Yi. I have taken good care of the key. Bien Tianrui raised his hand and snapped his fingers. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and snorted. Do it! Damn it, Jail King, I've been waiting for this day for so long. It's finally over. Jail King charged at the very front, his slightly plump body nimbly weaving through the crowd of enemies. Wherever he went, anyone below the heaven immortal realm would be beaten to the point of vomiting blood by him. Soldier against soldier, general against general. Sir, you are lowering yourself to deal with some human immortal juniors. Don't you feel ashamed? An old man with a gloomy expression walked out. Jail King raised his head and looked at him, then hooked his finger at him. Come and accept your death. As the two sides fought, waves of spiritual energy constantly tore through the surrounding space. It was a dimensional space to begin with. After encountering such a large-scale battle, the surrounding space was constantly being torn apart. Yi Zichen turned his gaze back to the battlefield. With Jail King, Zhuge Hong, and Yang Jian present, Yi Zichen's side had the upper hand. Although Bien Tianrui sorted out the people who came to fight for the keys, they weren't that strong. Although they had the advantage in numbers, there was still a long way to go before they could sense it. Young master! Iron Bull rubbed his palms together. He was a battle maniac, and if he didn't make a move in this situation, his heart would itch. Go. Be careful. Bien Tianrui could tell that it was impossible to rely on that group of people. He was strong enough to protect himself in a situation like this. Done. Swinging his arms, Iron Bull charged into the crowd. Yang Jian. Yi Zichen roared with a frown. Yang Jian glanced at Iron Bull, who was about to enter, and smirked. Understood. With that, he raised his hand and heavily injured the human immortal expert in front of him. Then, he slowly walked over with his Erlang lance. A clash of experts. Iron Bull and Yang Jian subconsciously stopped. The two of them stared at each other from dozens of meters away. They could both sense an unusual aura from each other. Yang Jian. Iron Bull said in a low voice. Yo, you know your grandfather's name. In that case, hurry up and beg for mercy. Otherwise, don't cry when your grandfather hurts you. Yang Jian's face was full of playfulness. I've long wanted to experience the strength of the number 1 war god of the heavenly court. Make your move. Iron Bull looked like he was waiting. Yang Jian raised his eyebrows and glanced at him. The lance in his hand glowed. You're still in such a hurry to die, but I'll satisfy you. As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Jian grabbed the Erlang lance and dragged it on the ground. Wherever the blade passed, a crack immediately appeared. Die! Both sides sent out their generals. However, neither Yi Zichen nor Bien Tianrui looked at the battle. Instead, they stared at each other. Brother Yi, aren't you worried? Bien Tianrui asked. If you aren't worried, then what should I be worried about? Yi Zichen smiled. However, at that very moment, Yang Jian, who was fighting with Iron Bull in the sky, coughed up a mouthful of blood and fell down. Yi Zichen's expression drastically changed when he saw that. It seems like your men can't compare to mine, Bien Tianrui smiled. Just as he was about to land, Yang Jian slapped the ground and used the reaction force to stand steadily on the ground. Tisk! Yi Zichen spat out a mouthful of blood, then wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth. I underestimated you. Zhuge Hong, go help Yang Jian. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes in anger. Zhuge Hong, who was dealing with the human immortal experts, glanced over at Yang Jian. Her expression also drastically changed. She instantly engulfed the experts in front of her with a ball of fire, then hurried over. A gap appeared in Yi Zichen's formation after Zhuge Hong was gone. F***ck. Yi Zichen glared fiercely at Bien Tianrui, then charged towards the human immortal experts without any time to think. Brother Yi, if you don't move, then I won't move. Isn't it good for the two of us to just stay here for a while? However, The moment Yi Zichen moved, Bien Tianrui also turned into a phantom and clung onto Yi Zichen. F***ck off. Yi Zichen swung his fist, but Bien Tianrui caught it with a playful smile. Are you in a hurry? Sorry, but you can't leave. Bien Tianrui threw Yi Zichen back to his original position, then stood in front of Yi Zichen with a smile. At that moment, the human immortal experts on Bien Tianrui's side were already fighting with Zhuge Kongming and company crack. Yi Zichen clenched his fist tightly. Bien Tianrui's strength seemed to be similar to Yi Zichen's, but his spiritual energy was very strange. It was as if Bien Tianrui's spiritual energy was suppressing Yi Zichen's. What's more, this brat's movement technique is very special. He's like a plaster that I can't get rid of. I have to find a chance to hurry over. Or rather, I have to get a few more helpers. Wei Chen, I didn't expect you to be the White Tiger's clone. Xia Kiki had a relaxed and lively smile on her face at the spatial landing point of Mount Biluo. Several dragon elders stood behind her, while Wei Chen, who had a scar on his eye, stood beside her. Yes. Wei Chen smiled faintly. AI, do you know what Mount Supreme is for? My clansmen forced me to come over, but they didn't tell me anything, Xia Kiki muttered. Mount Supreme is the place to become a supreme, Wei Chen replied with a smile. But whether or not one can obtain the inheritance depends on the chosen one. We didn't receive any news about the chosen one when we entered, so it shouldn't be us. Then why did I come here? Xia Kiki pouted in annoyance, then turned to the dragon elder beside her. I'm not going to whatever Mount Supreme. Send me to Maple City. I'm going to find Zichen Gidge. Young lady, don't throw a tantrum. Since you're here, then just go with the flow, said one of the elders. Wei Chen's expression changed. Boss Yi is in Maple City? Yeah, he said that he would go to the dragon race to play with me when he has time, but he hasn't. Susu didn't even reply to my messages. When I went to find her, her older sister wouldn't let me in. So boring. Xia Kiki waved her hands angrily. However, at that very moment the sound of spiritual energy clashing could be heard. Chapter 559. To have help, Chimen Duanjia. A solemn expression surfaced on Zhuge Kongming's face. After training in the three realms for so long, he was no longer the pitiful child that Yi Zichen had to act for instant noodles and coke. His eyes were solemn as he looked in front of him. As he roared, dozens of wooden stakes instantly appeared on the ground. Change. Under his command, the wooden dummies turned into puppets holding wooden shields and iron swords. These puppets seemed to have their own consciousness as they charged towards the enemy. Grandpa, I can also mess up the limelight. 3 huge dice appeared in the air. He used his spiritual power to control the dice, and they immediately began to spin violently in the air. Leopard, 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 Third Fatty Jean cupped his fists and muttered. When the people next to him saw this, they swung their swords at him. Third Fatty Jin's men, who were about to launch a sneak attack, arrived in front of him. However, just as he was about to attack, Third Fatty Jean suddenly opened his eyes. 5 big. In an instant, his fist grew several times bigger. He could feel an inexhaustible amount of energy surging through his body, and he urgently needed a place to vent it. Fortunately, this sneak attacker won the prize. Eat Grandpa's fist. Bang. Zhuge Kongming's fist landed forcefully on the person who had launched the sneak attack, and the person instantly shot out like a cannonball. However, as he retreated, he crashed into Zhuge Kongming's wooden dummy and destroyed it. What are you doing? Zhuge Kongming spat out a mouthful of blood. Third Fatty Jean scratched his head and smiled. A mistake. But because he was too excited just now, he used up all the power that the die gave him. Seeing that the enemy was charging at him, he hurriedly threw the die into the air. Leopard, leopard, the enemies also stopped vigilantly. The scene of them being sent flying by Fatty's punch was still vivid in their minds. 1, 3, 3 small. Fatty's face instantly darkened. The people on the other side looked at the numbers on the screen and then glanced at his expression. This grandson has failed. Kill him. Mother. Third Fatty Jean also ran forward, cursing non-stop. How could this lousy thing be called a divine artifact? Wasn't this AF * king scam? Little brother, help me hold them off for 10 minutes. Third Fatty Jean ran over to Zhuge Kongming's side. However, Zhuge Kongming, who had his wooden puppet destroyed, was also withered. Scram. Just at this moment, Little White stood in front of them with its eyebrows raised. Bro, you're still the most reliable. Third Fatty Jean immediately grinned, while Xiao Bai gritted his teeth and persevered. Get lost. Yi Zichen was about to go crazy. He didn't think that Iron Bull's entrance would cause such a huge butterfly effect. The Sky Immortal expert who was fighting with Jail King fell off his horse, but he couldn't free himself to help Little White and the others. At this moment, Iron Bull was fighting with Yang Jian, Zhuge Hong and Jail King. More importantly, he wasn't at a disadvantage. In fact, he seemed to be suppressing them. Scram! Yi Zichen had already summoned Xian Yuan's sword. He tried several times to break through Bian Tianrui's defense, but Bian Tianrui just wouldn't budge. Brother Yi, don't even think about it. You can't leave. With that, 2 clones appeared from Bian Tianrui's body. At the same time, his main body took a step back and waved towards Yi Zichen. I'm taking the key. Bian Tianrui smiled proudly. Yi Zichen continuously sliced the clone apart, but the clone would automatically regenerate after being sliced apart, and stick towards him once again. Hee, don't even think about breaking through my profound energy avatar without the destruction talent of a Sky Immortal. Bian Tianrui smiled. Bian Tianrui smiled, then slowly walked in front of Lil White and the others. The key on his chest vibrated even more intensely. It seems like they all have keys. Hand it over. I can guarantee that you won't die as long as you give me the key. Bian Tianrui reached out his hand indifferently. Bian Tianrui extended his hand indifferently. Lil White and the others subconsciously covered their chests, while Third Fatty Jean snorted in disdain. Stop pretending. Give me 3 more minutes if you dare. If a leopard appears, you'll all die. I've heard that the Heavenly Spirit Die is a divine tool that works according to its wielder's luck. However, based on your luck, it doesn't seem to work. Bian Tianrui smiled, and Third Fatty Jean immediately cursed. Grandson, I, your grandfather, have a flood of good fortune. Even my master, Great Emperor Qingming, said that I have heaven-defying luck. How dare you say that I have bad luck? Third Fatty Jean had purposely mentioned Great Emperor Qingming in order to make Bian Tianrui hesitate. However, the other party did not care at all. Your mouth stinks too much. I've decided to kill you. Bian Tianrui squinted his eyes, then reached out with his hand. Third Fatty Jean swallowed his saliva. At this moment, you're so vicious at such a young age. That's not good, not good. Bian Tianrui's hand was grabbed by someone. When he raised his hand, he saw Wei Chen looking at him with a faint smile. He wanted to use force, but he found that the other party was holding his wrist tightly, and he couldn't move at all. Who are you? Guess. If you guess correctly, I'll tell you. Dong. A gust of wind slammed into Bian Tianrui's back. Pooh. He spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood. At the same time, he heard a sound behind him. Tiger form fist. Wei Chen let go of Bian Tianrui's arm. At that moment, a young man ran past Bian Tianrui. The young man looked like a hothead as he smiled at Wei Chen. Father, how is it? Not bad, you've made some progress. Wei Chen smiled, then glanced at Bian Tianrui, who was on the ground. What are you spacing out for? Hurry up and fuck off. Don't count on your people to come and save you. They can't even protect themselves now. Bian Tianrui's pupils twitched when he looked towards the battlefield. Out of nowhere, a few Heaven Immortal experts appeared and joined Yang Jian and the others in fighting Iron Bull. No matter how strong Tai Nyo was, it would be difficult for him to fight 4 hands at once. not to mention that there were more than 4 hands at the moment. There were also people hunting human immortal level experts. He glanced towards Yi Zichen once again. Yi Zichen was the backbone of the group. If Yi Zichen managed to capture him, then Yi Zichen had a chance of winning. He chanted an incantation in his heart to mobilize his doppelganger, but he found that he had lost contact with his doppelganger. Bien Tianrui, you lost. Just as Bien Tianrui was shocked, Yi Zichen walked over with a smile, while a cute young girl followed beside him and put her arm around his shoulder with a giggle. You actually came out, Bien Tianrui said in shock. Impossible, it's impossible for you to escape from my profound energy avatar. Just how did you do it? Where's my avatar? Chapter 560. Retreat in defeat. Bien Tianrui opened his eyes in shock. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shake his head with a smile when he saw Xia Kik's gluttonous look. The scene at that time was like this. It's so annoying to chop around. The avatar's defense was not particularly strong, and its attack power was almost 0. However, the most annoying thing about him was that he could regenerate. No matter how many times you cut him into pieces, he could always return to his original form. Entangle, I'm going to pester you. Xianyuan Xiang, is there any way to make these 2 clones disappear? Yi Zichen frowned. Xianyuan Xiang also replied in his sea of consciousness. I'm trying, don't be too anxious. There was no hurry. How could he not be anxious when he saw that Bien Tianrui was already rushing towards Lil, White and the others? Brother Zichen. Just as Yi Zichen was feeling extremely anxious, Xia Kiki ran over with a giggle. When she arrived, she even ordered the experts beside her to deal with Iron Bull. Kiki, why are you here? Yi Zichen wanted to welcome him, but the 2 clones stuck to him again. Really, the blade cut them in half again and again, but they were reborn again and again. Xia Kiki blinked her big eyes as she walked over and looked at the 2 clones. What do they do? I don't know. Yi Zichen roared angrily with a frown, then raised his eyebrows. Don't mind me. Hurry up and go to Lil White and company. Don't worry, Wei Chen is already there. Wei Chen. Yeah, I came with him. Xia Kiki giggled. She then licked her lips and gulped as she looked at the 2 clones. I don't know why, but I subconsciously want to let them eat me. Yi Zichen was stunned. Wait a moment. With that, Xia Kiki grabbed one of the clones and bit down. With that, Xia Kiki's eyes lit up, and she began to eat in large bites. In just a moment, the 2 clones had been completely eaten by her. Bert. Xia Kiki patted her stomach, burped and said, Is there more? I want more. I don't think so, but that kid should have more. With that, Yi Zichen and Xia Kiki walked over to Bien Tianrui's side. Do you have any more of those clones? I haven't had enough. No. Bien Tianrui replied with reddened eyes. I'm really unlucky. Why did I meet such a weirdo who can actually eat profound energy? Be more polite with your words. Can't you see what kind of situation you're in? Third Fatty Jean kicked Bien Tianrui. With his pretentious personality, he would feel uncomfortable if he didn't put on a show at a time like this. Do you know who I am? Bien Tianrui frowned angrily. Third Fatty Jean rolled his eyes in disdain and snorted, I don't care. You're our prisoner now. What are you still pretending for? Do you believe that I won't slap both of you? Bien Tianrui subconsciously closed his eyes, only to hear Third Fatty Jean laugh out loud. Don't worry, Third Fatty Jean. Look at this grandson, he's scared. Creak. Gritting his teeth, Tai Nyo, who was fighting Yang Jian's group in the air, lost a move and fell heavily to the ground. Young master. Iron Bull's eyes gradually turned red. Bien Tianrui hurriedly shook his head when he saw that. No. Then he stood up and stared intently at Yi Zichen. How can you let me go? The key. Yi Zichen reached out his hand. Xia Kiki also added, and the profound energy you mentioned. Here's the key. Bien Tianrui clenched his teeth, then pulled the 2 keys off his neck and chucked them into Yi Zichen's hands, then created a clone. I've given you everything you wanted. Can you let me go? Light. When Bien Tianrui walked in front of Iron Bull, he heard Iron Bull frown. What's wrong with you? Young master, let Iron Bull open the seal. All the people here deserve to die. Bien Tianrui shook his head, then helped Iron Bull up from the ground. Let's go. After disappearing from the battlefield, Yang Jian and the others hurried back and raised their eyebrows as they looked at where Bien Tianrui left. Letting him go just like that? Letting a tiger return to the mountain is equivalent to nurturing a tiger that will bring calamity. Cornered dog will jump over a wall, and a cornered rabbit will bite. If we really force them into a corner, then their counterattack is not something we can handle. Yi Zichen looked in front of him. Those two aren't simple. Indeed, especially that Iron Bull. Jail King panted heavily. It's been a long time since Laozi fought so hard. We clearly had the advantage in numbers, but we were completely suppressed by that brat. If it wasn't because he was distracted just now, we might not have been able to beat him. Yeah, that grandson is stronger than the monkey, said Yang Jian. He's actually that strong. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. He could tell that Iron Bull only had the strength of a sky immortal. Everyone present was an elite among sky immortals, but he was actually able to suppress so many people. Could he be an immortal king? No, he's still a sky immortal. The dragon elder shook his head. But the purity of his spiritual energy is much higher than ours, so he's suppressing us in terms of spiritual energy. I also felt that his spiritual energy was a bit strange just now. Yang Jian squinted his eyes. Yang Jian narrowed his eyes and said, but I just can't figure out what kind of place he's from. His spiritual power is actually purer than mine. Where else could it be? Up there. Wei Chen smiled faintly as he walked out and pointed above. Don't forget, there are still people up there. They are from the upper realm. The old man from the dragon clan exclaimed. That's about right. Wei Chen nodded faintly. Mount Supreme is no small matter. It's normal for people from the upper three realms to come down. Don't think too much about it. We'll deal with whatever comes our way. Right, what should we do with these guys? Wei Chen pointed at the people who were trembling on the ground. Yi Zichen glanced at them, then shook his head. Don't worry. Tell them to get lost. Did you hear that? Boss Yi told you to scram. Third Fatty Jean seized the opportunity to show off. When he passed by one of the people who tried to sneak attack him, he even kicked him. Who told you to King bully me? After cleaning up the battlefield, Yi Zichen subconsciously looked at the surrounding teams that had grown stronger. It seemed like the snow rabbit race couldn't let it go. Young master, are you all right? Iron Bull helped Bien Tianrui to sit down on a rock. Bien Tianrui shook his head and smiled. I didn't think that we were actually tricked by him. Young master, why didn't you tell Iron Bull to open the seal and start a massacre? Then, we'll find all of the ancient antiques of the three realms. Are you going to fight to the death and I'm going to run? Bien Tianrui frowned angrily. Iron Bull scratched his head. Then what do you think we should do? Our key has been stolen by them. Mount Supreme hasn't been opened yet. Who can guarantee who has the key in the end? Bien Tianrui snorted. Chapter 561. Extreme strength must break, sire. Shuelyan smiled wryly, then looked at the people behind Yi Zichen. To be honest, their territory wasn't that big. Yi Zichen and company were already having a hard time staying there, and now another group. There are a lot of people, right? Yi Zichen smiled wryly. Shuelyan bit her lips. No worries. I'll get my clansmen to squeeze a bit. Squeeze what? I think the manor opposite is pretty good. Jail King raised his eyebrows towards the manor. Jail King raised his eyebrows at the manor opposite him. I've been eyeing that manor for a long time. Why don't we just snatch it from him? Jail King knocked his fist against his palm. Exactly. Yi Zichen couldn't help but smile. Jail King is right. Why don't we just steal it? They ran straight from the Snow Rabbit clan to the opposite manor. When they arrived, they coincidentally bumped into the Blue-Eyed Cat clan retreating outside. "Sirs, we were also forced to come here. We'll leave now, the head of the Blue-Eyed Cat clan nodded with a coy smile, then waved his hand towards his clansmen before leaving the manor in a hurry, ignoring Yi Zichen and company. "Look, there are enough places to stay now, right? Everyone, choose whatever you want. I'm really tired from the fight just now, so I'll be going first." Jail King ran towards one of the rooms. Yi Zichen smiled, then turned to the surrounding people. "Everyone, choose whatever you want." Yi Zichen sat in the manor's pavilion. "I didn't expect Bien Tianrui to be rather elegant. The manor's structure is very special. However, I've only stayed in the manor for a few days, yet Yi Zichen and company took it away. He might cough up blood if he finds out. Brother Yi, why did you guys move over here?" Ruan Qingtian laughed heartily as he walked in from outside. Beside him was a stern-looking man carrying an immortal sword. That person was Third Fatty Jin's senior brother. "I wanted to look for you. Why didn't I see you just now?" Yi Zichen frowned. If Ruan Qingtian was there, then the situation wouldn't have been so dire. As the Azure Sky Pavilion's pavilion master, he definitely had a lot of tricks up his sleeve. It would not be a problem for him to deal with those unorthodox people. Ruan Qingtian secretly glanced at the man behind him. Coincidentally, Third Fatty Jin walked over from the side. When he saw his senior brother, he immediately frowned. "Senior brother, where did you go just now? Junior brother almost died just now. You have no one to blame but yourself for not being skilled enough." Third Fatty Jin smiled coyly, then introduced the man with the celestial sword to Yi Zichen. "Brother Yi, you're the one with the celestial sword. Boss Yi, this is my senior brother, Bai Xingtian. He's the disciple my master is most proud of, an early-stage heaven immortal." Then, he tried to introduce Yi Zichen to Bai Xingtian, but Bai Xingtian interrupted him mercilessly. "There's no need to introduce him to me. I don't need to get to know him." Seeing the other party's arrogant expression, Ruan Qingtian smiled and took a few steps to the side. Third Fatty Jin looked at the two of them for a while, then backed off as well. "Hee, you're rather cocky," Yi Zichen chuckled without standing up from the chair. "But to be honest, I don't really want to get to know you either. Since we're not friends, then please leave." Bai Xingtian turned around indifferently to choose a room, but was stopped by Yi Zichen. "How is it?" Bai Xingtian frowned. Yi Zichen pointed at the door not far away. "Your way is over there." "You, what? You can't be thinking that you can stay in my territory after jumping around like that, right?" Yi Zichen smiled. Bai Xingtian smiled in disdain. "I don't want to be friends with beastmen either." "Junior, say what you just said again. Beastmen?" Yang Jian and Jail King walked out side by side. Bai Shengtian's expression instantly darkened when he saw them. And trash from the heavenly court. F***ck grandson, you're so cocky. Yang Jian raised his eyebrows and walked a few steps forward. Bai Xingtian, who was holding the celestial sword, moved. He raised his hand and pulled out his celestial sword, then pointed it at Yang Jian's throat. "If you move again, I'll take your life." Senior brother. Third Fatty Jin was in the most difficult situation. He was on good terms with Yi Zichen, but Bai Xingtian was his senior brother. Who should I help if they really fight? Little fellow, you merely have some strength. You won't live long if you act so cocky. Wei Chen walked out with a fruit in his hand. He leaned against the arched gate of the garden with a droopy eyelid, then flicked his finger at Bai Xingtian's blade. A pillar of air directly shattered his blade. Bai Xingtian's expression shook. Then he looked towards Wei Chen in confusion. Bai Xingtian sheathed the celestial sword, then left the manor with it. This grandson is so cocky. Laozi really wants to slap him to death, Yang Jian cursed. Yi Zichen couldn't help but mock him. The blade was already at your neck and you still want to teach him a lesson? But Bai Xingtian is truly strong. He was actually able to cause Yang Jian to be unable to react when he was at the early stage of the Sky Immortal level. It seems like the Immortal region relied on actual strength to fight against the Heavenly Court and the Underworld. Boss ye bosses, don't get angry. Third Fatty Jean walked over with a coy smile. My senior brother has never left the sacred land of the Immortal region. He's been told that everyone outside the Immortal region is an enemy. Don't mind it too much. Little Fatty, aren't you from the Immortal region as well? Why aren't you like him? Jail King asked. Didn't I just hang out with Boss Yi for a while? What's more, I believe that harmony brings wealth, and that we can only build a beautiful home if we get along. Fighting and killing and whatnot is too fierce. Third Fatty Jean rubbed his hands with a smile. Jail King nodded, then walked beside him and patted him on the shoulder. Not bad, your mentality is much stronger than that senior brother of yours. Extreme intelligence will be hurt, extreme strength will be humiliated, extreme hardness will be broken, and deep love will not last long. That eldest senior brother of yours will suffer greatly sooner or later. Jail King shook his head with a smile, then left with his arm around Yang Jian's shoulder. Speaking of which, he didn't know what happened between the two of them for their relationship to become so good. Since there's nothing to see, I'll be leaving too. Wei Chen also shook his head and left through the arched door. Seeing that everyone had left, Third Fatty Jean said worriedly, Boss Yi. He wasn't familiar with this group of big shots, and they didn't seem to have a good impression of his senior brother. If they vented their anger on him, he, Third Fatty Jean, wasn't as strong as his senior brother. He didn't dare to provoke them. Chapter 562. Profound Meaning. Nirvana Thunderstorm. By Xingtian walked out of the manor with a cold expression. His immortal sword was like a baby in swaddling clothes, tightly held in his arms. Humph, the smell of a wild beast is assaulting my senses. Bai Xingtian narrowed his eyes and raised his eyebrows. I wonder when that so-called Mount Supreme will open. I hope it ends soon so that I can leave this smelly place as soon as possible. He found a rock nearby and laid down. Cultivators were already used to sleeping in the open. Sha-sha. Whoosh. The celestial sword in his arms instantly left its sheath. The blade quickly shot forward, and finally stopped in front of Bien Tianrui's forehead. Good sword. Humph, what are you doing here? Bai Xingtian sheathed his sword and looked at him arrogantly. Brother, why aren't you staying with the Snow Rabbit clan? Bien Tianrui did not know that his manor had already been taken over, and thought that Yi Zichen and his people were all staying at the Snow Rabbit clan. How can a gentleman associate himself with a beast? Bai Xingtian's tone was filled with arrogance. Brother, you are right. A gentleman should not associate himself with beasts. Bien Tianrui smiled. Bai Xingtian looked him up and down, then put away his sword and snorted. You don't look like a beast, so I'll spare your life. Scram. With that, Bai Xingtian hugged the immortal sword and laid back down on the rock. Brother. Bien Tianrui's expression froze, but he still smiled. I actually came here to discuss a deal with you. I haven't settled the score with you for injuring my junior brother. Do you want to make a deal with me with your life? Bai Xingtian stood up from the rock with a dark expression. He raised his finger, and the sword instantly flew out of its sheath and landed in his hand, then stabbed towards Bien Tianrui. Refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit, Bien Tianrui took a step back. Iron Bull had already been waiting for a long time. Bang. Bai Xingtian was shocked to find that Tai Nyo's fist didn't suffer any damage when he struck the immortal sword. Humph. Bai Xingtian snorted, then leapt backwards. His sword rose into the sky, and countless sword images shot towards Bien Tianrui and the others from behind him. Sword immortal! Iron Bull smirked and curled his lips. A little fellow who hasn't even comprehended the profound meaning of a sword immortal. He has the body of a sword immortal, but he doesn't have the heart of a sword immortal. His left hand clutched his right fist tightly for about a breath's time. Break! A violent fist wind was emitted from his fist. The sword shadow and the fist wind were in a stalemate between the two of them. It was a little tricky. Bai Shengtian's expression darkened. He had wanted to end the battle quickly by using the sword kinesis that his master had taught him. However, he had not expected the dark-faced man to be able to block it. "How can a mere barbarian tribe fight against me?" Bai Shengtian roared in his heart. He was arrogant, too arrogant. In the sacred grounds of the immortal realms, he was a heaven's chosen that everyone paid attention to. He was the most outstanding disciple of the younger generation in the sacred grounds. He was born in the Holy Land, and in his eyes, anyone who wasn't from the Holy Land was a barbarian. From his name, it could be seen that he would conquer the heavens. Even the heavens couldn't do anything to him. If he lost here, it would be a huge joke. Heh! Iron Bull's hands continuously made strange movements, and the sword shadow behind him instantly became stronger. Iron Bull maintained a faint smile from start to finish. This smile only further agitated the prideful Bai Shengtian. Go! Ding ding ding, the sword shadow became stronger, but Iron Bull did not take a single step back. Instead, his sword shadow showed signs of being pushed back. Go! Bai Shengtian roared again. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. Actually, he could choose to run right now. With the sword kinesis that his master had taught him, Iron Bull and the others would not be able to catch up. However, he had pride and stubbornness. Iron Bull, if you're done playing around, then hurry up and capture him. This brat is the leader of the younger generation in the sacred ground. He's very useful for our plan, Bien Tianrui said plainly. Iron Bull also grinned. The sword immortals from our side are too strong. I finally met a young sword immortal, so I couldn't help but bully him for a while longer. But since young master said that, then Iron Bull won't play with him anymore. Play? He's actually saying he's playing with me. Bai Shengtian was enraged. He raised 2 fingers on his right hand, causing the celestial sword to fly up into the sky. Boom! Third Fatty Jean and Yi Zichen, who were in the manor, looked up in confusion. Why did the weather suddenly change? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Third Fatty Jean exclaimed with a frown, "Oh no, my senior brother is in trouble." What? Yi Zichen asked. My senior brother is in trouble. This is a profound technique that he learned after 10 years of concentration. He wouldn't use it under normal circumstances, because it would waste 10-odd years of his cultivation. Since he used it, then he definitely encountered a troublesome opponent. Third Fatty Jean paced around anxiously. Third Fatty Jean paced around anxiously, then looked towards Yi Zichen. Boss Yi, I apologize to you on behalf of my senior brother. Can you, before he finished, he heard Yi Zichen call out in the garden. Yang Jian, Jail King Anti-Zhuge, Old Wei Wush. All the experts appeared at the same time. They raised their heads and looked at the sky. Sword Immortal's profound technique, Nirvana Thunderstorm. Wei Chen frowned. At that moment Yi Zichen also spoke up. That brat, Bai Shengtian, is in trouble. Let's go over and take a look. That grandson. Yang Jian shook his head. I'm not going. Anyone else can go. What does his death have to do with me? Why should I shamelessly go and save him when he's in trouble? Stop bullshitting, saving him is more important. With that, Yi Zichen immediately rushed towards the location of the thunderstorm. Yang Jian stood behind him with a helpless expression. Wei Chen raised his eyebrows and smiled. Simon, let's go over and take a look. It's a great fortune to be able to see the Sword Immortal's profound technique. Rumble. Dark clouds covered the sky. Bolts of lightning fell from the sky and landed on the blade of the immortal sword. The blade of the immortal sword immediately emitted bolts of lightning. Profound technique, Nirvana Thunderstorm. Bai Shengtian grabbed the celestial sword, causing a ball of white lightning to appear on top of it. It's still a bit lacking compared to the Sword Immortals over there. Iron Bull twitched his mouth. Iron Bull twitched his mouth. Bien Tianrue raised his eyebrows then nodded. It's a bit lacking, all right? All right, hurry up and catch him. I'm tired. Alrighty. Tai Nyo smiled faintly, swung his arms, and ran away with loud thumps. Explode. The ball of light descended towards Iron Bull. However, what happened next was something that Bai Xingtian would never be able to forget. Iron Bull opened his mouth several meters wide, allowing the ball of light to fall into his mouth. Not long later, he patted his stomach and burped, then let out a trail of smoke. Z's, the lightning isn't pure either. Brat, you still need to train as a sword immortal. With that, Iron Bull shook his head helplessly. Chapter 563. Great Emperor Qingming appears. Faint smoke filled the air. When Yi Zichen and company arrived, they could no longer see any traces of anyone. However, the marks in the surroundings indicated that a huge battle had just taken place. I'm late. Yi Zichen looked around, then raised his eyebrows. The attacker is an expert. The spiritual pressure in the surroundings is very strong. This is bad. Third Fatty Jean raised his hand and slapped his forehead. Master told me not to leave eldest senior brother alone before we came. It looks like he already predicted that something like this would happen to eldest senior brother. What should I do now? I can't explain to Master. Whoosh. The sound of something flying through the air rang out. Yang Jian raised his eyebrows and subconsciously shielded Yi Zichen. Not long after, a middle-aged man appeared in front of everyone. Master. Third Fatty Jean smiled bitterly when he saw who it was. He hurriedly walked up and lowered his head. Master, please punish me. I didn't take good care of eldest senior brother. I'm still too late. Great Emperor Qingming shook his head and sighed. He patted Third Fatty Jin's shoulder. It has nothing to do with you. This is his fate. With that, he nodded at Yang Jian and the others, then walked up to Yi Zichen and smiled. He's here. Yi Zichen naturally understood that he was referring to his arrival in the Three Realms. You've already been here for a few months. Don't act like you've just found out about it. The information channels of your immortal realms can't be so bad, right? Hee, Great Emperor Qingming smiled. Third Fatty Jean said from the side. Master, should we go and rescue eldest senior brother? No need. Great Emperor Qingming shook his head. It's good for him to experience some setbacks. Your future path is your own. I can't always pave the way for you. Since I didn't dare to go this time, I can only say that this is fate. Then, say no more. Great Emperor Qingming stopped Third Fatty Jean, then turned to Yi Zichen. After Mount Supreme ends, come to the immortal region when you have time. The three sovereigns want to see you. The jail king raised his eyebrows and said as he floated away. Which one of the immortal region's three sovereigns came just now? Great Emperor Qingming. Yi Zichen replied indifferently, but he felt rather annoyed. The people of the immortal region were really. After all, he was the reincarnation of the Yellow Emperor. The immortal region was still waiting for him to break through to the immortal king realm. But looking at their attitude, they didn't care about him at all, and even told him to go to the celestial region after Mount Supreme ended. Why shouldn't they be the ones to invite him? Master is gone. What about my senior brother? Third Fatty Jean was pacing around anxiously. Jail King walked to his side and raised his eyebrows playfully. Your master doesn't even want to care about him, so what are you panicking for? Besides, that brat is so arrogant, he should suffer a bit. Yeah, I feel like he's about to fly into the sky. Isn't he powerful? Let him run out on his own. Yang Jian snorted and curled his lips. The only reason these people had come was out of respect for Yi Zichen. Otherwise, they wouldn't care about that brat's life or death. Everyone, please don't. That's my senior brother. He's actually quite nice to me. Third Fatty Jean smiled bitterly. What does it have to do with us? Yang Jian twitched his mouth, while Third Fatty Jean frowned even more. Yi Zichen let out a soft sigh. All right, let's stop talking. Boss Yi. Third Fatty Jean looked towards Yi Zichen pitifully. He knew that the deities would definitely help if Yi Zichen said so. Don't be too anxious. Yi Zichen glanced at Third Fatty Jean. We still don't know who sent your senior brother away. Let's go back first. We'll discuss how to save him when there's news. Then, alright. Third Fatty Jean thought about it and felt that the other party was right. There was no point in panicking now. When they returned to the manor, Zhuamo's face was filled with worry. Ruan Qingtian stood beside her, waiting anxiously at the entrance. When she saw Yi Zichen return safely, Zhuamo rolled her eyes at him, then turned around and left. When Wei Chen and company returned to their own courtyards, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. How did I provoke her again? She's a woman, it's normal for her to be a bit emotional, Ruan Qingtian smiled. Look at you guys. Who did you fight with? It doesn't seem like the descent of Mount Supreme. Bai Shengtian got into a fight with someone. When we went over, he was already gone. He should have been kidnapped. Of course, we can't eliminate the possibility of him running away, Yi Zichen replied. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then the two of them walked into the courtyard side by side. As they walked, Ruan Qingtian spoke up. We need to be more vigilant. Most of the keys to open Mount Supreme are already in our hands. Although we aren't weak, it doesn't mean that we can always protect these keys. Also, I saw the people from the Fire Cloud Gate come as well, but I don't know where they went. Yi Zichen mentioned the keys. Of the 4 sacred beasts' keys, Ruan Qingtian and Yi Zichen each had one. What's more, there were 2 keys that they got from Bian Tianrui and 1 from Third Fatty Jean. There were a total of 12 keys to open Mount Supreme, and they already had 12 keys on their side. It took up 3/4 of the space. As for where the Fire Cloud Gate went, Yi Zichen didn't care. It was impossible for the people in this place to become allies, and if they met in the future, they would only be enemies. Speaking of which, the 6 pavilions and 3 schools don't seem to have come to Mount Supreme? Mount Biluo's restriction had been broken for almost a month, but only the Azure Sky Pavilion and Fire Cloud Gates people came. They'll definitely arrive. It's just a matter of time. When Mount Supreme opens, those people will naturally see it. Ruan Qingtian's lips curled into a faint smile, and his tone was firm. That's right. Something as huge as Mount Supreme could even alarm the Heavenly Court. It wouldn't make sense if these peak forces didn't come. Everything will come. Ruan Qingtian patted Yi Zichen's shoulders, then indicated with his mouth, before leaving with a shrug. Yi Zichen looked up and saw Xia Kiki sitting in the pavilion in the middle of the courtyard with a pout as she held her phone. What happened? Who made our little cutie unhappy? It's still Susu. Xia Kiki wrinkled her nose and muttered. I don't know what happened to her. She didn't reply to my messages. I went to play with her, but her older sister said that she's in closed cultivation. Just now, look. I sent her a message, but it showed that she deleted it. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then took Xia Kiki's pink phone. It was filled with messages that she had sent to Su Yan, until the last one, she really deleted it. That shouldn't have happened. There's no way that Su Yan would delete it for Xia Kiki with their relationship. Chapter 564. Chapter 564. The Escaping Su Yan the Fox Yaos. Su Luer held Su Yan's phone in her hand. She had just decided to delete that annoying dragon girl from her friend list. Sis, no matter what, this is Lil Sis's personal item. You shouldn't do this, right? Su Zhu couldn't help but raise her eyebrows as she looked at her friend list. Su Luer's expression remained indifferent as she chucked the phone onto the bed with a snort. Chirp 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 nonstop, disturbing my peace. Then return the phone to Lil Sis. She's been very obedient recently, and hasn't been making a fuss, Su Zhu spoke up for Su Yan. Su Luer snorted. That's what she should do. Right now, she needs to calm down and accept her past memories. Look at how long she's been back, but her strength hasn't improved at all. Lu Erjia, you're in too much of a hurry. Lil Sis doesn't belong to us in this life. You have to give her time to accept it. Su Zhu replied with a smile. However, at that very moment, first leader, second leader, this is not good. When they arrived at Su Yan's room, they saw a half-meter wide hole in the corner of Su Yan's room. When I came to deliver the medicinal bath to the young lady, I noticed that she disappeared. I looked around the room and found this hole. The maid bit her lips and replied. Su Lu squinted her eyes and snorted. Second sis, this is what you mean by being obedient and not making a fuss. Second sister, this is what you call being well-behaved and not making a fuss. Look at what she has done, she only knows how to make a fuss. She was like that 10,000 years ago, and she's still like that now. What they didn't know was that Su Zhu, who had been smiling, also frowned. There's the scent of an outsider. Lil, sis might have been bewitched by someone. Now isn't the time to argue about what Lil, sis should do. Hurry up and seal off the entire Fox Mountain. We must find Lil, sis. Buzz with Su Lu as the center, a wave of spiritual energy instantly spread out and sealed off the entire Fox Mountain. You really have guts to take Lil, sis away in front of me? Delete it for me as well. Yi Zichen looked at the notification on his phone in confusion. He just wanted to try and see if Su Yan deleted it for him or not. What's wrong with Susu? Xia Kiki continuously muttered. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes, then put his phone back into his pocket and twitched his mouth. It's impossible for Su Yan to delete us. I think it's most likely because of her older sister. Big sister Lu? That's her. It's very possible that she stole Su Yan's phone. But what's the point of taking Susu's phone? Xia Kiki blinked. Maybe I can contact Yuan Hong. Yi Zichen thought naughtily. Maybe Yuan Hong told his older brother to buy him a phone. Su Lu that leftover girl, is in a hurry to get married, so she snatched her little sister's phone to chat with her lover. Alright, Su Yan is definitely safe with the Fox Yaos. Once Mount Supreme is over, we'll go there and take a look. Alright, but that's true. Susu won't be in danger with the Fox Yaos. Xia Kiki nodded with a giggle, then put her phone back into her pocket. Xia Kiki nodded with a giggle, then put her phone back into her pocket. Just as she was about to leave with her ponytail swinging, she subconsciously paused for a moment when she saw the bone ring on Yi Zichen's finger. However, she skipped away without saying anything. There shouldn't be any problems, right? Yi Zichen couldn't help but sigh when he saw the notification. Su Lu was with the Fox Yaos. Although that older sister was a bit cold, her strength was absolute. What's more, Su Yan was her little sister, so she would definitely protect her. Wait, I'll wait until Mount Supreme is over. I definitely have to go to Fox Mountain again. Nighttime. Just as everyone was about to rest, Bai Xingtian walked in from the outside covered in injuries. Senior brother. Third Fatty Jean was the first to greet him. However, before he arrived, Bai Xingtian fainted onto the ground. Even so, he still hugged the celestial sword in his hand tightly. Senior brother. Bai Xingtian laid on the bed with his eyes closed within a guest room. Yang Jian used his celestial spiritual energy to scan his body, then lifted his hand. Great deity, how is my senior brother? They're all superficial wounds. His internal spiritual energy is in a bit of a mess. I helped him calm it down just now. He should wake up soon. With that, Yang Jian couldn't help but twitch his mouth. As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Jian couldn't help but twitch his mouth and say, I really have a kind heart. It would be great if this grandson died. Why would I save him? Third Fatty Jean directly filtered out the rest of Yang Jian's words, and repeatedly thanked him. Yang Jian waved his hand, then left the room, and saw Yi Zichen looking at him with a cigarette in his mouth. How is it? I didn't sense any other spiritual energy. It seems like this brat ran out. Yang Jian took the cigarette from Yi Zichen and lit it for himself. That's good. But my eyelids have been twitching a lot recently. I keep feeling like something is going to happen. Yi Zichen frowned. Just be more vigilant. Haven't we been changing shifts recently? There shouldn't be any problems. Boom. Before Yang Jian could finish speaking, A tremendous explosion suddenly sounded across the garden. Raising their heads, they saw the Snow Rabbit clan's territory exploding with flames, and plumes of thick smoke drifted into the air. This scene was exactly the same as what they'd seen when they'd first arrived. Mother, don't be afraid. Shuelyan held the child in her arms tightly. Then, she set up a restriction in the room and said with a frown, "Stay here and don't run around, okay?" And the child kept nodding. Shuelyan grabbed her clothes and pushed the door open. A pair of big hands grabbed her neck and lifted her up. When the two children saw this, they quickly ran out and hit the man's legs. "Let go of my mother! Bad guy, let go of my mother! Didn't I say that I won't let you out? Come out!" Shuelyan looked at the two children happily. The man holding her neck smiled, kicked the two children onto the ground, then flew towards the entrance of Yi Zichen's manor with Shuelyan by the neck. "The people over there, listen up. If you want to save this woman's life, then use all of your keys in exchange. I have patience. 15 minutes. If I don't see you within 15 minutes, then this woman is dead. No matter what, she took care of you for so long, you can't be so heartless, right?" Iron Bull. Yi Zichen and Yang Jian, who were about to rush out, stopped. The voice was clearly Iron Bull's. F***CK. Despicable. Yi Zichen looked in front of him with a dark expression. Iron Bull was holding Shuelyan by the neck, while the Snow Rabbit clan members occasionally let out screams. 15 minutes. Iron Bull's words continuously announced the time, as if he was about to die. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth, then his gaze changed. Chapter 565. Back up, it seems like they want to abandon you. Iron Bull grabbed Shuelyan's neck and mocked her in disdain. "See, so what if you guys treat them well? You're nothing for the key to Mount Supreme." Ahem. Shuelyan grabbed onto Iron Bull's arm tightly and struggled with her legs. Everyone had a desire to live, and she naturally had one as well. What's more, she had two children. She looked towards the manor in front of her. She clearly understood that the key was definitely very important. But she wanted to live. Are you guys really going to abandon her? So pitiful, she's going to die just like this because of you guys. Iron Bull laughed arrogantly, then put more force into his hand. Let go. Yi Zichen walked out with a small cloth bag in his hand, while Yang Jian and company walked out with him. Seeing this scene, Shuelyan's eyes instantly lit up. Iron Bull also smiled faintly and snorted. Iron Bull snorted with a smile. "Ziz, I really didn't expect you to be able to come out. But don't think about taking her away from me. You guys do have a lot of people, but if you want to kill her, I only need to move a finger. Put her down. Didn't you want the key? We've already brought it over." Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and looked in front of him. Iron Bull smiled. "Don't think that I, old bull, am an idiot. Do you really think I'll get it just because you said so?" Yang Jian. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows towards Yang Jian. Not long later, Yang Jian walked over with 9 shiny keys in his hands, which he placed into the cloth bag. "The keys are here. We'll hand over the keys at the same time. Toss the keys over, then I'll let her go." With that, Iron Bull put Shuelyan down and held her shoulders tightly. "Here you go." Then he tossed the bag into the air. Dong. Another loud bang rang out. Iron Bull suddenly turned around and saw a spirit formation suddenly rise from the interior of the Snow Rabbit clan. Whoosh! Several tens of figures were pushed out. At the same time, a black-robed man appeared above the Snow Rabbit clan and made an "okay" gesture towards Yi Zichen. "It's that black-robed man again." Yi Zichen frowned, but it seems like he's helping them. "Do it." Bang. Yang Jian knocked Iron Bull back with a punch, then reached towards the bag in the air. Yi Zichen also used this chance to snatch the Snow Lotus. "Are you all right?" "Thank you, my lord." At the same time, Bien Tianrui roared from behind, "Don't care so much, get it? How dare you trick us?" Iron Bull glared at Yang Jian and snorted coldly. Then, his right arm thickened and he began to wrestle with Yang Jian. "Brother, catch." He chucked the bag of keys towards Yizichin, then Jail King and company also charged towards Iron Bull. Grandson, I haven't beaten you up to my heart's content yet. You still dare to come. Humph. Iron Bull said disdainfully. Do you think you're the only one with more people? This time we came prepared. Fire snake dance. A loud roar rang out from the sky. Suddenly, fire snakes appeared on the ground. They flicked their tongues and twisted crazily on the ground. They're from the fire cloud gate. Ruan Qingtian's lips curled up. I didn't expect them to run to the other side. That's normal. Yizichin smiled, then saw a red-robed man appear in front of him. Ruan Qingtian. Yo, old dog. Ruan Qingtian smiled. I didn't expect the Fire Cloud sect to send you here. What's wrong? Is there no one else in the Fire Cloud sect? Ruan Qingtian, don't be too arrogant. The red-robed man smiled sinisterly, then looked towards Yizichin. It's you, right? The brat on our Fire Cloud Gate's blacklist, Yizichin? His name is actually on the list. How can I accept this? A playful smile appeared on Yizichin's face. When he noticed where she was standing, he waved the bag. You want it? I won't be stupid enough to use my spiritual energy recklessly before Mount Supreme opens. I can still deal with you after we enter Mount Supreme, the red-robed man said in disdain. Someone who doesn't even have a key wants to enter Mount Supreme? Yizichin twitched his mouth. The red-robed man smiled in disdain. At the same time, Bien Tianrui also walked over casually. Brother Tian, why are you wasting your breath on them? Can't we just snatch it? I already said that I won't waste any spiritual energy before Mount Supreme. The red-robed man shook his head. What's more, don't you have a backup plan? I don't want to use it so early. Bien Tianrui revealed a troubled expression. Then it'll be hard if you want to snatch it, the red-robed man smiled. We, the Fire Cloud Gate, have the key. I already did my best with the fire snake just now. As for whether you can get the key or not, that's up to you. With that, the red-robed man turned around and left. Bien Tianrui's expression changed, and he narrowed his eyes with a smile. He squinted his eyes and smiled. I didn't think that people from the lower 3 realms are so cocky. It's not that we're cocky, it's just that you're too weak. Ruan Qingtian twitched his mouth. Ruan Qingtian curled his lips. Look, even an old dog dares to bully you. What else can you do? Hurry up and go back to the upper 3 realms. This place isn't suitable for you. Bang. Following Jail King's collapsing fist, Iron Bull was unable to withstand it and fell to the ground. In a situation where he was outnumbered, he still retreated in defeat. Bien Tianrui, what else do you have to say? Your allies don't want to help you. You want to deal with us by yourself. Yizichin shook his head. How do you want to die this time? What can you use to protect yourself? I think you should just give me the key. Bien Tianrui shook his head with a smile. Yizichin raised his eyebrows with a smile. Are you dreaming? You'll know if I'm dreaming or not by looking behind you, Bien Tianrui smiled. You'll know if I'm dreaming or not when you look behind you, Bien Tianrui smiled. Yizichin looked behind him. Bang. Yizichin grabbed Bien Tianrui's collar and roared with a dark expression. Bien Tianrui, do you have a bottom line? Young lady. Young master. Zuomo. Kong Ming. Ruan Qingtian on the ground, the Dragon Elder in the air, the Jail King, and Zhuge Hong's expressions all changed. Iron Bull took this opportunity to leap into the air and punch them in the back. Let go of me. That brat is very obedient right now. Do you want something to happen to those people? She pushed him to the ground and saw Bai Xingtian hugging the celestial swords. Zuomo and the others walked in front of him with the celestial sword on their necks. Bai Xingtian. Yizichin clenched his fists so hard that they cracked. Bai Xingtian subconsciously didn't dare to look up at Yizichin, so he grabbed them and walked in front of Bien Tianrui. Chapter 566. Mount Supreme appears. Bai Shengtian's gaze was filled with darkness. Xia Kiki, Zuemo and company all looked innocently at Yi Zichen. Big brother Zichen, look at this guy. What does he do? Zhuge Kongming asked in confusion. It seemed like he still did not know that he was being held hostage. Don't be silly, okay? We've been kidnapped. Xiao Bai frowned. Look, this kid wants to use us to exchange for the antidote. The four captives chatted among themselves, without the slightest nervousness of being kidnapped. They knew very well that Yi Zichen would definitely save them. Brother Bai, look at these people you've kidnapped. They don't even care about you. Bai Xingtian continued to frown. I've brought him. Give me the antidote. Who knows if you'll change sides if I give you the antidote? Bian Tianrui said. Don't challenge my bottom line anymore. Bai Xingtian instantly unsheathed his sword and pressed it against Bian Tianrui's neck. Antidote, give me the antidote. Put down the immortal sword. If you still want the antidote, how about it? Bian Tianrui's expression darkened. At that moment, the dragon, Jail King, and Yang Jian all hurried over. Bai Xingtian said with a frown as he stared at Zuemo and the others closer. Don't come any closer. If you take another step forward, they'll all die. I told you this grandson was a scourge, but you insisted on saving him. Jail King glared angrily. Yi Zichen, I don't care what you do. If anything happens to the young master, then I'll hold you accountable. What the other party wants is the key. Give it to them. We must not allow them to harm young Mississippi. The old man from the dragon tribe also spoke up. No. At this moment, Bai Xingtian shouted, If I give him the key, what about my antidote? Give me the antidote. I don't care what kind of deal you have, I want the antidote. Grandson, what are you doing here? Just as Jail King was about to step forward, Bai Xingtian's eyes turned red. The immortal swords on the necks of Little White and the rest drew closer. A trace of blood flowed down their necks as he spoke with bloodshot eyes. Don't force me! Senior brother. Third Fatty Jean also rushed over at this moment. There was a huge bump on his forehead. From the looks of it, Bai Xingtian had knocked him unconscious before kidnapping Xiao Bai and the others. Senior brother, what are you doing? I want the antidote. Bai Xingtian roared without care, while Bian Tianrui maintained a calm smile the entire time. He had no intention of giving the antidote. Snatch the antidote for me. If you can't, I'll make them accompany me in death. Bai Xingtian roared at Yi Zichen and company with bloodshot eyes. Although Jail King and company were unwilling to follow his orders, they still took a step forward for the sake of their young master and young lady. Don't even think about touching my young master. Iron Bull also took a step forward. For a time, the atmosphere became extremely heavy. Calm down, everyone. The keys are with me. Bai Xingtian has the person I want to save, and Bian Tianrui has the antidote he needs. How about this? I'll give the key to Bai Xingtian, and you guys exchange. No. Ruan Qingtian shook his head. Are you sure they're not acting in concert? What are we going to do if we don't have our keys and people? Then I'll exchange with Bian Tianrui with that. Yi Zichen extended his bag of keys and opened his palm. Give me the antidote. This is the antidote. Bian Tianrui took out a jade bottle and opened his palm. Give me the key and I'll give it to you, Buzz. All of a sudden, the keys in the key bag began to move violently. Suddenly, the earth shook and the mountains shook. A huge hole was suddenly torn open in the sky. 7-colored holy light poured down from the sky, and within the holy light, a mountain slowly fell. Mount Supreme. Bian Tianrui's eyes lit up. Bai Xingtian took advantage of the moment Bian Tianrui lowered his guard to snatch the bottle from his hands, then pushed Zuemo and company into Yi Zichen's arms. Key. Bian Tianrui no longer had the time to care about Bai Xingtian. What he needed now was the key to enter Mount Supreme. Snatch it. Bian Tianrui grabbed the bag in Yi Zichen's hands. At that moment, Yi Zichen also reacted and pulled the bag backwards. The bag was unable to withstand the tearing of the two people, causing the keys to bounce up and down in the air. Iron Bull. Yang Jian. Both Yi Zichen and Bian Tianrui shouted at the same time. Snatch the keys. F***ck off. Yang Jian kicked Iron Bull's shoulder, while the others also grabbed towards the keys in the air. Heh! Iron Bull ignored their attacks and grabbed 3 keys, then landed on the ground with Bian Tianrui, before disappearing. Yang Jian and company also quickly put away the keys in the air. However, at that very moment, one of the keys broke free from Jail King's hands and flew towards the north. Stop chasing. That's the Chosen One's key. It seems like the Chosen One entered the mountain. Wei Chen raised his hand to stop him. Jail King swung his hand angrily and landed beside Xiao Bai. Young master, are you all right? What else could be wrong? Xiao Bai shrugged his shoulders indifferently. Was that thing that fell just now Mount Supreme? It seemed to be descending rather slowly. Indeed. Let's go back. We'll go when Mount Supreme truly opens. But we can't lose any more keys during this period of time, said Ruan Qingtian. Keep an eye on the vicinity of Mount Supreme and see if we can find the Chosen One. Go back, I have other things to deal with. With that, Yi Zichen hurried towards the Snow Rabbit clan. He had to find out who the black-robed man was and why he was helping him. Hey, stop. When Yi Zichen arrived at the Snow Rabbit clan, the black-robed man was already preparing to leave. When he heard Yi Zichen's call, he subconsciously stopped and said hoarsely, "What is it? Who exactly are you?" Yi Zichen frowned and stared at the black-robed man's face. However, the black-robed man's face was covered too tightly, so Yi Zichen couldn't see it at all. Who I am isn't important. We just met by chance. I simply feel that we're fated, so I want to help you. That's all, the black-robed man said hoarsely. However, Yi Zichen did not believe him. Only someone from the modern realm knows about Dragon Ball. Who exactly are you? OL3? Hearing that, the black-robed man's body stiffened. I don't understand what you're talking about. Alright, Mount Supreme will land in 3 days. This is the map of Mount Supreme. Good luck. Chapter 567. Try and hit me. The keys were split between the two sides, but the number of keys did not affect the main members on Yi Zichen's side being able to enter Mount Supreme. Yi Zichen sat in front of a square table in the room, which was covered with a beast skin map. Are you sure this is a map of Mount Supreme? Wei Chen sat opposite him and looked at the map a few times, then scratched his chin with a frown. To be honest, I don't understand it. I don't really understand it either, Yi Zichen replied plainly. Then glanced at the flame mark on the blueprint. Regardless of whether we can understand it or not, it's definitely beneficial for us to have this map. Once Mount Supreme descends, we should be able to find out what this blueprint is for. Wei Chen put the map back to Yi Zichen with a smile and raised his eyebrows. But where did you get this map from? How are you so sure that it's Mount Supreme? Don't worry about it. Yi Zichen did not want to tell anyone about the black-robed man. Although he did not know the black-robed man's identity, he subconsciously believed that the black-robed man would not screw him over. Is it OL3? Yi Zichen sighed in his heart, then put the map back into his pocket and laid down on the bed. Mount Supreme's descent lasted for 3 whole days. During those 3 days, there was practically no difference between day and night on Mount Biluo. The entire time, the sky shone with a blinding light. The half-beastmen who lived on Mount Biluo all looked up at Mount Supreme, which was bathed in holy light. I wonder what the 3 Yao emperors have come to find me for. A man in a Taoist robe smiled at the 2 men and 1 woman who had their backs towards him. They were the 3 Yao emperors who had protected Mount Biluo for tens of thousands of years, and were extremely strong. I just wanted to ask, mister, are we going to take Mount Supreme or not? One of the burly men turned around. His pupils were like a cat's eyes, and there were a few long whiskers at the corner of his mouth. That'll depend on what you think. However, you'll need a key to enter Mount Supreme. If you have one, then let the younger generation go. What's the point of asking me? The man in the Taoist robe smiled and replied. You're a divine strategist, and you're proficient in the art of divination. We just want you to help us. This time, we half-beastmen have a chance to make a comeback. The woman turned around and chuckled. No. The man in the Taoist robe replied with a faint smile. His tone was filled with certainty. I've calculated where Mount Supreme will land, and I've also purposely sealed off Mount Biluo. However, the formation has been broken. It seems that this is fate. You half-beastmen are not fated with Mount Supreme. Sir, please tell us what we should do. The black-robed man standing between the man and woman turned around and said sincerely. The man in the Taoist robe raised his eyebrows and smiled. Yi Zichen, you found this brat. Kill him or befriend him. It's your choice. On the gravel road outside Mount Supreme's restriction. If there are no accidents, Mount Supreme will land within 2 hours. By then, the restriction here should be opened. Ruan Qingtian's eyes were filled with passion. Ruan Qingtian's eyes were burning with passion. Although he tried his best to hide the excitement in his heart, it was still overflowing on his face. I can feel that a barrier has formed here. We can't use spiritual energy anymore, Wei Chen said. The moment Wei Chen said that, Yi Zichen and the others all tried to use their spiritual energy and the surrounding laws. Stop trying. A barrier will form when Mount Supreme descends. Perhaps the master of Mount Supreme did this to prevent people from fighting before Mount Supreme descends. Ruan Qingtian smiled faintly. Jail King couldn't help but twitch his mouth. Jail King twitched his mouth. Hee, then we still have to fight after it lands. What's more, we fought enough for the key. We don't understand what the higher-ups are thinking. Ruan Qingtian replied with a smile. Boom. A huge wave of spiritual power swept outward. Yang Jian stood at the front and blocked the wave. At the same time, he raised his hand and pushed towards the shade of the trees. The restriction has disappeared. Let's go in. Everyone ran towards Mount Supreme. Approximately 10-odd minutes of travel later, the peak of an average-sized mountain stood in the middle of the forest. There was a stone door in front of the entrance which had 12 keyholes. It seems like that's where the key is placed. Mount Supreme will truly open after the key is placed in. Yi Zichen. Bian Tianrui walked out from the forest with a dark expression. When he saw Yi Zichen, he immediately clenched his teeth and shouted. Yi Zichen was not surprised at all when he heard Bian Tianrui's tone. Why are you clenching your teeth and looking at me like that? What? Do you want to fight me here? Yi Zichen smiled coldly. Rustle. A rustle sounded out from the forest, causing everyone to subconsciously look over. Zhuo Hongxin. Zhuo frowned. How impudent. Shouldn't you be calling me second uncle at a time like this? Zhuo Hongxin smiled, then waved towards her. Come over to second uncle. Young Master Mu is here as well. Don't you two have an engagement? Mu Qingtian? Zhuo squinted her eyes, then heard a rustle sound out from the forest. Not long after, a handsome, fair-skinned man with a sickly appearance crawled out from inside. When he saw Zhuo, a hint of excitement surfaced on his sickly face. Emoer. Yi Zichen, Ruan Qingtian and company couldn't help but want to puke at the greasy way of addressing him. Zhuo also snorted coldly. Why did you come? Our dad told me to come over. I didn't expect to see you here. Mu Qingtian walked over with a smile. When he saw Yi Zichen, a dark look flashed across his eyes. Who is he? Brother Mu, that brat is called Yi Zichen. He's been very close with your fiancé recently. Bian Tianrui smiled. Mu Qingtian frowned. Yi Zichen? Yi Zichen. That name sounds familiar. Not long later, he smiled and twitched his mouth at Ruan Qingtian. Isn't Yi Zichen the one who caused a huge ruckus in the Azure Sky Pavilion? The bride broke off the engagement, causing the entire azure sky pavilion to become a laughingstock. Ruan Qingtian, I didn't expect you to be able to endure humiliation and walk together with this person. Not bad. Ruan Qingtian smiled faintly. Humph. Mu Chengtian snorted in disdain, then turned his gaze towards Yi Zichen darkly. You actually dared to walk so close to my MO. You sure are gutsy. Sickly invalid. Yi Zichen snickered and shook his head. Mu Chengtian's expression changed, then he smiled sinisterly. You can only talk big. If you have the ability, try hitting me. Pa bang. She raised her hand and slapped him, then turned around and kicked him. Yi Zichen kicked the sickly Mu Chengtian onto the ground. At the same time, Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Chapter 568. Yang Jian's relationship with the great sage has been exposed, young master. Mu Chengtian's lackey quickly ran over with a worried look. Young master, are you all right? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Hurry up and let me help you up. The ground is cold and there's bacteria, your body. Move aside, I can get up by myself. Mu Chengtian pushed the lackey away, then struggled a few times in an attempt to stand up. In the end, he still reached out his hand towards the lackey. Yi Zichen and company were speechless. Just how weak is his body? He can't even stand up by himself? Even Bian Tianrue looked at him like he was looking at a monster, and muttered in his heart, Is this ally I found good or not? Brat, you've got guts. Mu Chengtian pointed at Yi Zichen and cursed. Meanwhile, his lackey squatted behind him and continuously dusted his clothes. Do you know who I am? You actually dared to hit me. I can make you fall with a sneeze, and you... Achoo. At that moment, Jail King suddenly sneezed. Mu Chengtian, who was standing in front of Yi Zichen, immediately began to wobble, then sat down on the ground. Young master, what happened to you? Young master. The lackey squatted on the ground and cried. Mu Chengtian glared at him and cursed, Laozi isn't dead. Hurry up and pull Laozi up. Is this grandson a paper doll? Why are you engaged to this grandson? Yi Zichen pointed at Mu Chengtian. Zuomo looked at him with annoyance and snorted. It's all because someone intentionally set us up. With that, Zuomo turned towards Zhuohongxin. Zhuohongxin smiled when he noticed her gaze. My darling niece, why are you looking at second uncle like that? Even your father agreed to this marriage. Are you going to say that second uncle did it on purpose? What's more, this is a good marriage. If you marry young Master Mu, then the treasure tower's position will become even more stable. Then why don't you get your darling daughter to marry him? Zuomo smiled. What's the point of saying all that bullshit? What's more, this is a good marriage. If you marry young Master Mu, then the treasure tower's position will become even more stable. It was obvious that Zuomo was truly furious. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said those words. It was no wonder she was angry. Even Yi Zichen found Mu Chengtian weird. Even a sneeze could make him fall over. He was definitely made of paper, okay? With the help of his lackeys, Mu Chengtian stood up again. Achoo! At this moment, Yang Jian sneezed again. Mu Chengtian swayed and was supported by his follower. Are you guys addicted to playing with me? You guys are really daring. Suddenly, a gust of wind whistled past. He couldn't even withstand a sneeze, so how could he stand in this gale? A moment later, he was blown to the ground like a piece of paper in a gale and rolled far away. Young master, why did you run away again? Seeing this scene, the attendant also followed behind with a sobbing tone. But this time, no one complained. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the sky. Whoosh! 3 figures descended from the sky, each with a young man by their side. But what caught people's attention was that apart from the young man in the middle who was in human form, the other 2 girls more or less had the appearance of beastmen. Goat race. Tiger race. As for the man in human form, his eyes were like poisonous tongues, while his expression was sinister, snake race. From the looks of it, they were natives of the half-beastman race. What's more, the 3 elders beside them gave off a suffocating pressure. What was worth noting was that there was clearly a barrier around Mount Supreme that suppressed spiritual energy. Even so, they could still feel a heart-palpitating pressure from their bodies. Just how strong were they exactly? Yao Emperors! Yang Jian subconsciously pulled Yi Zichen. The three elders looked at Yang Jian plainly. War God! I didn't expect the three Yao Emperors to come as well. Are you guys interested in Mount Supreme as well? Yang Jian smiled. The female of the three Yao Emperors spoke up. Isn't War God here as well? Since the Heavenly Court is interested, how could we not be? But War God, there's no need to be so wary of us. None of us can enter. With that, she walked in front of Yi Zichen. Key. Are you asking me for a key? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. The other party nodded. You have the most keys. Mount Supreme can only be entered by human immortals. It's a waste for you to have so many keys. How about you sell us one? Only human immortals can enter? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Yes, the stocky man nodded. The stocky man nodded. I think you only need 3 keys. Sell us one, thank you. The man's attitude made Yi Zichen feel rather comfortable. At least he didn't try to snatch the key just because he was stronger. Yi Zichen looked at the surrounding people, then nodded towards him. I can't be sure if you're telling the truth or not. After Mount Supreme opens, if only human immortals can enter, then I can let you guys have one. If not, then we'll leave with our juniors. The only female among the 3 smiled. The War God and the Great Sage are inseparable. We don't dare to become enemies with the War God and the Great Sage at the same time. The 3 of them nodded, then brought their juniors to a spot not far away from Yi Zichen. How did you get to know them? Yi Zichen asked. I fought with them before. I didn't win, but I didn't lose either. The main thing was that the monkey said that he was tired, so he ran off to Mount Huagua, Yang Jian muttered in annoyance. Yang Jian grumbled. But the strength of these 3 people is indeed very strong. They can be considered as the top experts of the upper realm. Then are we really going to sell the key to them? Yeah, Yang Jian raised his eyebrows. These 3 have been famous for a long time. Isn't it rather worth it if you use the key to trick them out of some treasures? What's more, they think that the monkey is here, so they're actually very wary of us. Z's, that's right. They just said that the monkey is inseparable from you. You two are so close. TSK, that monkey and I are enemies. While Yang Jian and Yi Zichen chatted, Bian Tianrui frowned. It's going to be very bad for me if this continues. Zhuo Hongxin did not say anything. He was no idiot. He could naturally tell that Yi Zichen's side had the upper hand. That grandson actually caused such a huge wind. It nearly blew Laozi apart. Mu Qingtian had just returned with his follower. He hadn't finished his sentence. Heh, the female Yao Emperor snorted. That female demon Tharch snorted lightly, and he was blown away before he even entered the arena. Young master, why are you flying again? The lackey chased after him with a sob. At the same time, the female Yao Emperor also stood up and raised her eyebrows. Young master, why are you flying again? Chapter 569. Enter the mountain. Actually, Yi Zichen wanted to ask the same question as well. They had stayed there for a long time, but no one said anything about opening the door. Since he didn't understand, he didn't dare to move. How do we open it without all the keys? Jail King twitched his mouth. When all 12 keys appear in front of the door, they will automatically emit a red light, then the door will open by itself. So that's how it is. The female Yao Emperor nodded. She did not feel ashamed of her ignorance at all. Normally speaking, people of their level care a lot about their face. As I thought, these Yao Emperors are rather nice. I wonder who's so slow, Bian Tianrui muttered. Bian Tianrui muttered. At that moment, a man wearing a white robe walked out from the forest with a smile. A spirit monkey sat on his shoulder. Everyone's here. Were you all waiting for me? Hi. 2 voices sounded out at the same time. Yi Zichen and Bien Tianrui looked at each other, then smiled mockingly at each other, before Bien Tianrui spoke first. Bien Tianrui spoke up first. Brother Bai, we descended together, so we should get closer. But I'm not on the same path as you. Bai Hai smiled, then walked in front of Yi Zichen. Brother Liang Chen. Liang Chen. Bien Tianrui snickered. Bai Hai, you don't even know his real name, right? He's not called Liang Chen, he's called Yi Zichen. The three Yao emperors looked up at Yi Zichen at the same time. Yi Zichen. They were all reporters. Either kill him or befriend him, according to what Sir said to them. Big bro, don't act rashly. There's nothing between us right now. At the very least, it's a good start. Sir said that we can befriend him, so we shouldn't touch him unless it's absolutely necessary. The female Yao emperor pulled the man's arm and shook her head. The stocky man nodded, but his gaze remained fixed on Yi Zichen. Brother Zichen, it seems like I made you wary back then, Bai Hai smiled. He was not affected by Bien Tianrui's words at all. But it seems like I'm not the last one. There's someone who came later than me. Let me go. Ma Ting, why are you so persistent? I'm already here, and you're still trying to catch me. An angry shout came from the shade of the trees. Ma Ting walked out of the forest with Qiu Yuan, who was kicking non-stop. On his body was the immortal binding rope. Buzz. At this moment, the keys in everyone's hands suddenly released a dazzling red light. The red light shot straight towards the entrance of Mount Supreme, and the 12 key locations started to spin rumble. As the dust fell to the ground, the mountain gate slowly opened. The door is open. Go in. The moment the gate was opened, a group of people came out of nowhere from all directions and rushed towards the mountain gate in a frenzy. Bang! Before they even reached the entrance of the cave, the group of generals were bounced back one after another. Key, snatch the key! Someone shouted, causing the people who had been bounced back to charge towards Yi Zichen and the others who held the keys. Courting death. Tai Nunyo's eyes were wide open as he swung his fists vigorously, sending the people around him crashing into the tree trunks. Yang Jian and the others did the same. They escorted Yi Zichen and the others into the cave. Bang! Jail King, who was about to enter with Little White, was suddenly bounced back. Little White, on the other hand, disappeared from the entrance. As expected, only those below the human immortal stage can enter. Jail King knitted his eyebrows. At that moment, the three Yao emperors also walked over. As they chased away the reckless looters, they turned to Yi Zichen. Do you believe me now? All right, I'll sell you the key. Yi Zichen took out the key and handed it to the Yao emperor. The Yao emperor directly placed the key in the hands of the three juniors and had them enter together. Brother Yi, let's hurry up and go in. The longer we go in, the more disadvantageous it will be for us. Ruan Qingtian asked. Yi Zichen nodded and shouted towards Zuemo and company, come to me. Zuemo and company hurried over. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows at the three Yao emperors. We'll talk about the deal when we get back. No problem, we'll wait here for your excellency, the female Yao emperor smiled. The female Yao emperor smiled. Yi Zichen held the key, causing a barrier of light to appear around them and envelop them, then they disappeared into the cave. Young master, please go in. Iron Bull grabbed Bien Tianrui's leg and tossed him towards the entrance of the cave. He held onto a key tightly. At that moment, Mu Chengtian coincidentally walked out of the forest with the help of his lackey. Why are you still fighting, Bang? Before Mu Chengtian could finish, Bien Tianrui slammed into his stomach. A barrier of light immediately appeared around them, and they both entered the cave. Whoosh! The 2 extra keys fell from the sky at the same time. Get them! The surrounding people all leaped towards the 2 keys. Bai Hai shook his head with a smile. What a bunch of pitiful people! When they entered the cave, Du Xing's son also frowned towards Ma Ting. Fast forward. Hurry up and go in. Let me go. Qiu Yuan continuously kicked Ma Ting. Ma Ting snorted with a smile. brat, don't even think about running. I still have to get money from the city lord when I come out. Hey, 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 yet, the moment the two of them entered, a few other young men entered as well. The people with keys entered Mount Supreme one after another, while the 2 extra keys were fought over by various parties. Whoosh! A ghost-like shadow suddenly appeared in the crowd, raised his hand and snatched one of the keys, then instantly entered the cave. As for the remaining key, what's wrong? I can't move. Someone in the crowd suddenly shouted angrily. At that moment, a black-robed man appeared in front of the person with the last key. Just as he was filled with terror, the black-robed man yanked the key out of his hand. Thank you. The moment the black-robed man entered the cave, the surrounding people regained their freedom. Key, my key. The elder who snatched the key hugged his head and cried. The old man who snatched the key hugged his head and cried. He had been stuck at the complete stage of the human immortal stage for far too long, and his time was almost up. He initially wanted to try his luck through Mount Supreme, but he had already lost his chance when his key was snatched away. The candidates and the chosen one have entered. Everyone, please return. An old voice sounded from the sky. Not long later, a gentle breeze blew on everyone's body. By the time everyone returned to their senses, they were already outside the forest. Senior of Mount Supreme is indeed an expert. To be able to chase us all out so silently, said Yi Chen. The 3 beast emperors couldn't help but shake their heads and sigh. Yang Jian and the others couldn't help but nod too. As for those who didn't enter, they either hugged their heads and cried, or blamed the heavens. The Wei Chen shook his head at the group of people and raised his eyebrows. Let's go back. It'll depend on their luck now. However, at that moment, boom! A beautiful figure appeared in front of everyone like a comet. She raised her eyebrows with anxiety and anger. Chapter 570. Chapter 570. Enraged Su Luer Yi Zichen. The figure roared furiously as if she had gone mad, while the spiritual pressure around her continuously spread outwards. All of the human immortal level cultivators coughed up a mouthful of blood due to the pressure. Who are you? Yang Jian took a step forward with a frown. The woman in front of him was far too terrifying. Even he felt a strong sense of danger. Everyone else also looked towards the woman. The woman squinted her eyes and looked towards Yang Jian. Who cares who I am? Where is Yi Zichen? Master of the Fox Demons. The old man from the dragon race took a step forward and raised his brows. I wonder what you're looking for, little friend Yi for. Dragon, it seems like you know where Yi Zichen is. Tell me, otherwise don't blame me for starting a massacre. The woman frowned. Iron Bull twitched his mouth. You sure are arrogant. Little girl, you sure talk big. Kill everyone here. Who do you think you can deal with? Shut up. The woman raised her hand and sent a wave of cold air towards Iron Bull. In an instant, Iron Bull, who was giving Yang Jian and company a headache, was turned into an ice sculpture. Gasp! The surrounding people couldn't help but raise their eyebrows. The woman's cold aura had already touched the doorstep of the Immortal King level. Speak! Boom! A chilling aura filled the surroundings. Even though it wasn't targeted at anyone, everyone couldn't help but use their celestial spiritual energy to resist it. Lu Erjia, a figure called out in the air. A beautiful figure shouted in the air. Beside her was a man dressed in battle armor and holding a staff. Yuan Hong, Yang Jian revealed a shocked expression. The man also raised his eyebrows. Big brother Yang Jian. I don't have time to chat with you guys. Speak. Where is Yi Zichen? Rumble. The sound of thunder rang out in the air. Su Lu Er's entire face was covered in frost. Lu Erjia. I'll ask you one more time. Where is Yi Zichen? Su Luer stared fixedly ahead. Her pitch-black pupils were gradually covered in frost, turning a crystalline blue. At the sight of this, Yuan Hong involuntarily swallowed a mouthful of saliva and spoke to Yang Jian. Big brother Yang Jian, where is little brother Yi? Hurry up and tell us. If Lu Er gets angry, No one in the entire beast region would dare touch her. He already entered Mount Supreme. Yang Jian shrugged. You guys came a little late. If you came 10 minutes earlier, he would still be here. Damn it! Bang! He stomped his feet hard, and a huge gully immediately appeared on the ground. Yuan Hong stealthily touched Su Zhu's shoulder and gave her a meaningful glance. Su Zhu nodded and was about to step forward when, out of the way, Su Luer shouted angrily. The people around her instinctively made way for her. Break! She punched the restriction with all her might, and the huge recoil caused her to spit out a mouthful of blood. However, she didn't care about her injuries at all. She raised her fist and smashed it against the restriction in a frenzy. I say, even if you fight until next year, you might not be able to open it. Yang Jian couldn't help but say, this is a restriction left behind by a sovereign. You, shut up. Su Luer wiped away the blood at the corner of her mouth, then charged towards the barrier once more. Dong. This time, the recoil was even stronger. Su Luer, who fell onto the ground once again, only managed to stand up after a few stumbles. Sis, don't go. Su Zhu hugged Su Luer from behind. Su Zhu reached out and hugged her from behind, but Su Luer gritted her teeth. Blood dripped from the corners of her mouth and onto the ground. I have to break this seal. I have to bring Yi Zichen back, said Su Zhu. But this restriction can't be broken at all. Su Zhu smiled wryly. I have to break it even if I can't. Otherwise, what about Lil, sis? Su Luer stared in front of her and snorted. I'm going to break this restriction. Zoom. After Yi Zichen entered the cave, he was directly teleported to the main hall of a palace. It seems like the people who come in all land in different locations. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and looked around. He could see that the people who came in with him were not around. He was the only one in the huge palace, and he could even hear the echoes of his footsteps as he walked. Welcome to this old man's kingdom of the game, an ancient voice suddenly sounded out from within the palace. An ancient voice suddenly sounded out from within the palace. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. It seems like it's the person who left behind Mount Supreme. But what exactly does Game Kingdom mean? There are a total of 23 people participating in this game. It's a bit different from what this old man had imagined, but it's more interesting this way. From now on, you have 3 days to form a team. The way to form a team is very simple. There is a jade pendant in front of you. Yi Zichen looked up and saw a white jade pendant glowing not far away. Yi Zichen picked up the jade pendant. The pendant was slightly cold, and the moment he touched it, he felt his entire mind calm down. I didn't expect it to have the effect of calming the heart. But so many people actually came in? I had thought that there wouldn't be more than 15. This jade pendant is the item for you to form a team. You can exchange it with your teammates after you find them. As for those who do not find their teammates after 3 days, it will be considered as a failure of the game and will be eliminated. Alright, have fun. I will tell you the next step in 3 days. Eliminated. Just what is Mount Supreme trying to do? The Niflheim dragon loved all sorts of games before he became a god. He even treated the laws of the heavens and the will of the heavens as games, so it's normal for him to do something like this. Xianyuan Xiang came out of the sword with a smile. I just didn't expect his game method to be so extreme. Eliminated. What does he mean? He's treating us like puppets? Yi Zichen frowned. He doesn't care about human lives at all. At his level, he already views human lives as ants. So what if a few people die? What's more, cultivation is about going against the heavens and changing one's fate. All successful people are built up from piles of bones. If you guys die here for opportunities, then it can only be said that you didn't have enough opportunities, Xianyuan Xiang replied with a smile. Xianyuan Xiang replied with a faint smile. It was obvious that she didn't dislike this game at all. I still don't think it's very appropriate. Youngster. Just as Yi Zichen held the white jade pendant in annoyance, an ancient voice transmission appeared in his mind. It was from the person who gave the game instructions. What is it? Xianyuan Xiang couldn't help but raise her eyebrows when she noticed Yi Zichen's expression. Yi Zichen shook his head to signal her to stop talking, then replied in his mind, "You're looking for me? You are very lucky to actually get the map for this game. But it's a pity that you aren't the chosen one. In order to compensate you, you can choose now. There are 30 top treasures of the God realm in front of you." Whoosh! A weapons platform suddenly appeared in front of Yi Zichen, which was filled with various divine artifacts. Chapter 571. Chapter 571. God of evil taste, can I choose anything here? Yi Zichen replied indifferently in his mind, then walked forward. Jade hairpin, jade pendant, dagger, longsword, all of the treasures shone with a rainbow light. Just from the looks of it, they did seem to be supreme treasures. Of course, this is the reward for obtaining the map and not being the chosen one. The wizened smile surfaced in Yi Zichen's mind. At that moment, Yi Zichen took a step back. Don't you like them? These are all supreme treasures of the God realm. As long as you can obtain one, you won't be in any danger even if you fight against an immortal king with your human immortal cultivation. As soon as the old man's voice fell, a green jade pendant flew over. I found this pendant in an ancient mountain back then. It has shocking defensive abilities. Back when I fought against the top 10 experts of the demon realm, it gave me an undefeatable advantage. Immediately after, another 7-colored dagger flashing with a dim light flew over. Meteoric iron sword. I obtained it when I was adventuring in the mortal realm. It was created by a top artificer during the creation of the primordial world using meteoric iron from the outer realm. I like its sharpness and delicacy, so I laid down 10-odd offensive spiritual formations on it. It can be said to be a rare offensive treasure. Whoosh! The dozens of treasures flew over at the same time and circled around him. These are supreme treasures that I painstakingly obtained. Any one of them will allow you to reach the heavens in a single step. This is so much better than adventuring. You're actually not tempted? A man's wealth is his own ruin. Yi Zichen had heard this saying since he was young. Perhaps God Ice Dragon didn't lie to him. They really are supreme treasures, but so what? If he takes an offensive treasure, a complete stage sky immortal expert can kill him with a single slap. If he takes a defensive treasure, he'll just hide like a turtle when the experts of the 3 realms surround him and attack him? Boring. I don't want them. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile. All of a sudden, the treasures in front of him all flew back to the table in front of him. Then, over 100 secret cultivation scriptures flew out as well. It's a top-notch cultivation technique in the God world, with all 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. If you cultivate any one of them, you'll be able to reach the Earth Supremacy stage. You might even be able to reach the Sky Supremacy stage or higher. No. Yi Zichen shook his head again. These secret scriptures were not as tempting as magic treasures. He did not possess the power of the 5 elements, so even if he was given a powerful technique, he would not be able to cultivate it. You don't want this, you don't want that, just what do you want? The voice roared in Yi Zichen's sea of consciousness. His emotions caused Yi Zichen to raise his eyebrows. Why did he have to make me choose? There was definitely something strange going on. I don't want anything. I want to participate in this game. Fool, these treasures are clearly within your reach, yet you actually said that you want to participate in the game. Don't tell me you don't know that even if you pass the final trial, your choices will still be these? But I still don't want it. Yi Zichen shook his head confidently and turned around. Only then did he hear a peal of laughter in his sea of consciousness. Haha, consider yourself lucky. Take a look at what they are. Hiss, the long table was filled with hissing poisonous snakes. Yi Zichen subconsciously took a step back when he saw that. These are the life-severing snakes unique to the God realm. You would have definitely died if you had touched them just now. Creak. This guy. Yi Zichen clenched his fist tightly. I actually tried so hard to make him choose, just to get me killed. Lucky youngster, it's pretty good that you can resist the temptation. But remember, your future will not be easy. Ha ha. The laughter in his sea of consciousness grew further and further away. Yi Zichen looked forward with a dark expression. Coincidentally, the poisonous snake hissed at him. Yi Zichen subconsciously took a step back and clenched his fist tightly. Mount Supreme. What a great Mount Supreme! He left behind a prophecy before his death for his descendants to seek fortune. His true motive was actually to treat those who seek fortune as tools for his enjoyment. Strange, there are indeed rumors of Ice Dragon being fun, but I've never heard of him having such a bad taste. Xianyuan Xiang frowned. Xianyuan Xiang frowned. Yi Zichen looked at the life-severing snakes on the table with a dark expression, then raised Xianyuan's sword. What are you doing? Don't poison them to death. However, it was already too late. Yi Zichen had already raised her up and slashed at the snakes. Whoosh! Several tens of poisonous snakes fell to the ground in half. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and snorted. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and snorted. Perhaps their tastes changed after they died. Since he was still in the game and needed to find a teammate, he walked out of the hall without any hesitation. This Mount Supreme is truly huge. Yi Zichen looked at the map in his hand as he walked forward. The markings on the map were very detailed. He walked along the palace towards the north. However, even after walking for half a day, he hadn't even covered 1/10 of the map. I wonder where they are and what their situation is like. Yi Zichen frowned. The situation within Mount Supreme was not as good as it seemed from the outside. After this group of people came in, they were merely players of the game. As for the treasure, they could only obtain it by clearing the levels. However, Yi Zichen didn't know how to get the inheritance. Of course, Yi Zichen definitely wouldn't ask for it. It's fine if I don't want the inheritance of someone with such a bad taste. What's more, isn't there still the Chosen One? Ahem, half a second of silence for the Chosen One. Yi Zichen passed through a small gravel path, then faintly saw someone on top of an ancient tree at the corner of the road. Yi Zichen slowly pulled out Xianyuan's sword. Not everyone in Mount Supreme belongs to me. I won't show mercy if I meet someone like Bian Tianrue. Yi Zichen carefully walked towards the ancient tree. When he got closer, he noticed that the person was actually tied to the tree. His head was tilted to the side, and he seemed to have fainted. What's going on? Did I meet a robber? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then walked forward a few more steps. Goyujan? Why did this brat appear in a place like this? I didn't see him when I entered Mount Supreme. Yi Zichen quickly ran forward, then shook Goyujan's shoulder. Wake up! Goyujan rubbed the back of his head with a pained expression. After a long while, he finally came back to his senses and looked towards Yi Zichen. Hurry up and untie me. Just like that. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, but still used Xianyuan's sword to cut the ropes on Goyujan's body. Why did you come here? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Chapter 572. Old and weathered Yi Zichen couldn't help but be stunned when he saw Goyujan's furious look. What did he just say? I brought it here for him. Don't joke around. Ever since they parted ways in the Beast region, he'd never seen that Ahog again. How did he end up here? You abducted me and told me that there would be delicious food after this, so I eagerly ran over with you. But when I got here, you knocked me down with a stick. Now you're asking me how I got it. Are you going back on your word and not going to give it to me? The strand of hair on Goyujan's head shook a few times. His solemn expression caused Yi Zichen to be shocked. Are you sure? Yi Zichen didn't quite believe himself when he heard how certain Yi Zichen was. Of course I'm sure. Goyujan pointed at his pitch-black pupils and said, I've been protecting my eyes since I was young. I'm not nearsighted, farsighted, or astigmatism. I could clearly see that the person looking for me was you. There was really something wrong. He really hadn't looked for Goyujan, so how did he get out? He actually knew Goyujan and knew his weakness. Most importantly, he had brought him here. When did you get here? Asked Yizichin. How would I know? You knocked me out with a single blow when I first arrived. I've only just woken up, and you're asking me about the time? Goyujan rolled his eyes at him, then raised his hand and raised his eyebrows. What? Yizichin frowned. What else can I do? Of course, give me the delicious food. You said you would give it to me when we arrived. Goyujan replied matter-of-factly. If you give me the food now, I can forgive you and let you go. Yizichin's expression instantly darkened. He sighed, took out his phone, and clicked on the social media app. Failed to pull data. Please check your network settings. No internet? When Yizichin glanced at the signal, he noticed that the small waves that usually appeared outside had indeed disappeared. Wait until we get out of here. At that time, I will definitely give you delicious food, enough to satisfy your needs. Trying to trick me again. Goyujan put on an expression of disbelief, but the shaking ahog on his head betrayed his thoughts. Why would I lie to you? When have I ever lied to you? Said Yizichin. You rarely lie to me. Goyujan pursed his lips, then licked his lips and said, But I still choose to believe you. But I want to eat lollipops when we get out, the ones that cost 50 cents a pop. What an ambitious young man. Since his request was so simple, it would be a bit unreasonable for Yizichin to not agree. All right. Goyujan nodded heavily and revealed a smile. The ahog on his head swayed a few times as he blinked his eyes and looked around. All right, I'll be fine. What is this place? I don't know, Yizichin replied plainly, then looked at the map in his hands. After a while, Goyujan scratched his head and said, Boss Yi, there was someone talking in my head just now. What's the point of asking me to form a team? You're a player too. Yizichin was shocked, but he quickly understood. Everyone here was definitely being toyed with by that guy. But that's fine, it saves me the trouble of worrying about my teammates. Then look and see if you have any jade pendants on you. What jade pendant? I don't know. Goyujan shook his head like a rattledrum. At that moment, a white jade pendant fell from his arms. Seeing that, Yizichin smiled and picked it up from the ground. Goyujan raised his hand in an attempt to snatch it. What? Yizichin asked. My mom left that jade pendant for me. Hurry up and return it to me. Goyujan snorted and reached out his hand. Goyujan straightened his neck and grunted as he stretched out his hand. During this period of time at Mount Huagua, he'd learned how to look at treasures from his heartless father. He had picked up the jade pendant from the ground when he woke up. He could already tell that it was no ordinary item. If he brought it back, he would definitely be able to sell it for a lot of money and buy a lot of delicious food. Now that the jade pendant was in Yizichin's hands, he was very anxious. Your mom left it for you? Yizichin shook his head with a helpless smile. Then, he took out his jade pendants and placed them behind him, then continuously messed them up, before opening his hands towards Goyujan. Tell me, which one of these was left for you by mom? Goyujan's ahog stood up. He really couldn't tell the two jade pendants apart since they looked exactly the same. Your mom left it for you. Seriously? Yizichin shook his head with a wry smile, then chucked his jade pendant into Goyujan's hands. This jade pendant is for you. Your mom left it for you, so take good care of it. Congratulations on completing the team mission. You are ranked 7th in this game. There are 9 other members who are currently solo. Please wait for the others to finish their missions before entering the second mission. Right now, it's your free time. There are some normal divine artifacts in Mount Supreme. Good luck. That was what Yizichin said. When he returned to his senses, he saw that Goyujan was also looking at him. You received it as well? Goyujan nodded. Boss Yi, what's going on? Why don't I get it? What team divine artifact? What's it for? Yizichin was unable to give a systematic answer to Goyujan's question. He had only come to Mount Supreme halfway through, and only came into contact with Mount Supreme after obtaining the key from Ruan Qingtian. He didn't know anything about the situation here, but based on his understanding as a shut-in, he knew that they were playing a game. And a game where he could be killed at any moment. Let's take it one step at a time. You'll understand slowly. What's more, weren't you a shut-in in the modern realm as well? Just treat this as a game trial, and just pass it to get the reward, Yi Zichen smiled. Then he squinted his eyes. But I'm more curious about one thing. But what I'm more curious about is, are you really sure that I brought you here? Can you tell me what happened at that time? Actually, I'm not too sure either. Go Yuzhan scratched his head. Go Yuzhan scratched his head and said, I was playing cards with the monkeys from Mount Huagua. I should say you suddenly popped out of nowhere and told me to come with you. You told me that there would be food there, so I followed you happily. What do you mean you're not sure? That's right. That person looks a bit older than you right now. He looks like he's been abandoned by the entire world, Go Yuzhan said with a frown. But he does look a lot like you, really. A bit older. A bit more experienced. Yi Zichen frowned. Chapter 573. When enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Using the free time, Yi Zichen and Go Yuzhan wandered around Mount Supreme for a while. According to the map, they had already walked through at least a tenth of Mount Supreme. It was all thanks to the map that all the dangerous locations were marked out. As for why they were sure that it was dangerous, it was mainly because Go Yuzhan didn't believe it and insisted on going in to take a look. Before he even took 2 steps into that dangerous place, he was so scared that he almost wet his pants and ran out. When Yi Zichen asked him what was inside, Go Yuzhan shook his head in a daze, as if he had lost his soul. Although Yi Zichen was curious about what was inside, he didn't go in for safety reasons. If the skeleton means danger, then does the treasure chest mean treasure? That geezer also said that there are normal divine artifacts around that we can take. Yi Zichen frowned as he held the map. Their current location was the location of the treasure chest. There were cliffs on both sides, and only a winding path could lead forward. The path was so deep that one couldn't see the end of it. Russell. Say, why is a sickly person like you sticking to lousy? An unwilling voice sounded out from nearby. Yi Zichen turned around and saw Bian Tianrui and Mu Qingtian walking over along the path. It truly is a small world for enemies to actually bump into each other. Hey, do you think I want to? What's more, you don't have the talent to be a servant at all. You didn't even help me up when I fell just now. Mu Qingtian seemed to be the one who spoke. You're so fragile because you're a sickly person. Lousy is helping you. I really don't know who spoiled you. You're a man, but you're living like a girl. You're so soft and weak that even a sneeze can make you tumble. You have to beat yourself up, otherwise you're going to die sooner or later, Bian Tianrui scolded angrily. Bullshit, everyone has to die. You might as well not have said anything, Mu Qingtian muttered. I really want to. Bian Tianrui raised his hand in an attempt to slap him. Mu Qingtian directly moved his face closer to Bian Tianrui. Hit me. If you can, then beat me to death. You're going to be killed without a teammate. Do you understand? If you can, then kill me. Who knows, I might even bump into you when I go to the Yellow Springs path. Bian Tianrui put down his hand with a gloomy expression when he thought about being killed. The reason why he was able to tolerate Mu Qingtian all this time was because of the rules of the game. Otherwise, he would have slapped him to death long ago. It was really strange. Why would so many of his allies choose this kind of person to ally with? There's internal strife. TSK, why haven't they made a move yet? I'm still thinking of capturing first-hand evidence at the crime scene. Yi Zichen took out his phone and turned on the flash, causing Bian Tianrui and company to be unable to open their eyes. He raised his hand to block the light in front of him. Only then was he able to see clearly. Yi Zichen. When he heard Yi Zichen's words, the sickly invalid stopped bickering with him. He narrowed his eyes and glared at Yi Zichen like a venomous snake. So it's you. Achoo! At this moment, Go Yuzhan rubbed his nose and muttered, "Who's missing me? It must be Lollipop that's missing me." He was still mumbling to himself when Mu Qingtian, who had his hands on his waist and was about to curse, "Ouch!" Yi Zichen reached out to grab Bien Tianrui, who was beside him. Bien Tianrui had already had enough of this sickly invalid, so he directly pushed Yi Zichen onto the ground and walked over with a smile. "Enemies really always meet. We walked for nearly a day, but I didn't expect to bump into you." "Yeah, we're quite fated to meet each other." Yi Zichen smiled, then summoned Xian Yuan's sword from his arm. "You want to fight?" Bien Tianrui smiled. "Why not? It's 2 against 1. It seems like I have a higher chance of winning." Yi Zichen also smiled. Even an idiot would be able to tell that the two of them weren't on good terms when Go Yuzhan heard their conversation. Whoosh! Go Yuzhan summoned a staff out of nowhere, then walked beside Yi Zichen. "Boss, how are we going to fight?" "Mixed martial arts." Yi Zichen charged forward with Xian Yuan's sword, while Go Yuzhan leaped forward. Whoosh! A person that looked similar to him immediately separated from his body. Go Yuzhan struck him with his rod, and the clone immediately turned into a wisp of green smoke and dissipated. Not long after, the clone fused back together. "It seems like you were hiding something. I thought Kiki ate all of your clones." Bien Tianrui's body trembled in anger. Bien Tianrui trembled in anger at the mention of that. Profound energy was a rare treasure in the God realm. Even though his father had some status in the God realm, it wasn't easy for him to get that bit of profound energy. However, that little girl actually ate 70% of his profound energy. If you have the time to trash talk, you might as well use your real skills." Bien Tianrui laughed coldly. Bien Tianrui laughed coldly. Yi Zichen shrugged, then pointed behind Bien Tianrui. 2 against 1, didn't you notice that one of them went missing? I'll fight." Bang! Go Yuzhan swung the staff onto Bien Tianrui's head, causing a trail of blood to drip onto the ground. "Clone!" Bien Tianrui covered his head and roared angrily, while his profound energy clone immediately charged towards Go Yuzhan. However, at that very moment, Go Yuzhan licked his lips, then put away his staff, swallowing mountains and rivers. A huge suction force appeared from his mouth, causing the profound energy clone to be sucked in without any resistance. Mu Qingtian was even more pitiful. Just as he crawled up from the ground, Go Yuzhan used swallowing mountains and rivers, causing his paper-like body to wobble as he flew up. "What the hell is that? Laozi doesn't eat people." Go Yuzhan frowned, then grabbed Mu Qingtian's leg and flung him onto the ground. Bang! He fainted. "Hey, mixed fur over there, do you have any more of that clone? It feels rather delicious." Go Yuzhan licked his lips happily with a look of enjoyment. Bien Tianrui was about to explode in anger. His profound energy clone buzzed. The ground shook. Everything happened far too quickly. Yi Zichen's pupils constricted as he saw rocks continuously fall from the surrounding cliff. "Run!" The moment Yi Zichen said that, Go Yuzhan had already run several tens of meters away. Bien Tianrui also felt his scalp tingle. He didn't have time to think about his grudges anymore. All he could think about was surviving. "Oh my God!" Mu Qingtian, who had fainted on the ground, also opened his eyes. When he saw the rocks above him, he leaped up without anyone's help, then ran outside. He was originally the last to come out, but he ended up running to the very front. Similarly, when he ran out of the danger zone, the corners of his mouth suddenly curled into a sneer. Yi Zichen, die! He opened his arms and grabbed a rock that weighed at least 500 kilograms, then threw it. Chapter 574. Fortune and misfortune are interdependent, stop fooling around. Yi Zichen was completely shocked when he saw the rock. The path was already extremely narrow, and the rock just happened to be wide enough to seal off the entire path. Sword shakes the earth. Ding 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 ding. The sword chi only left a few white marks on the surface of the stone, but the stone was not damaged at all. Mount Supreme is filled with god stones from the god realm. A mere human immortal wants to cut it? What a joke. Mu Qingtian smiled coldly. He didn't look sickly at all. Even Bien Tianrui couldn't help but feel a chill down his spine when he saw that sinister smile. Boom. The mountain slipped. The entire gravel road was covered by the gravel on the mountain. Boss Yi. Go Yuzhan's eyes were bloodshot as he ran out of the safe zone. He turned his head, and his eyes gradually turned bloodshot. I want you to pay with your lives. You! Mu Qingtian smirked. Bien Tianrui also opened his eyes wide, wanting to see what move Mu Qingtian was going to use. Ouch, I feel so dizzy. Bang. Without another word, Mu Qingtian fell head first onto the ground. Die! The staff in Go Yuzhan's hand instantly became as thick as a grown man's arms, and he swung it towards the ground with the force of 1,000 caddies. Why did the fire extinguish at the critical moment? Bien Tianrui furrowed his brows, but when he thought of Mu Qingtian's outburst, the density of the stones in the immortal realm was very high, and that stone was more than 500 kilograms in weight. No matter what, he was his teammate. If he died, he would need to find a new teammate. Moreover, this sickly invalid would also have a time when he would explode. Saved as saying. Bien Tianrui picked up Mu Qingtian, who was on the ground, and leaped away from the cliff. Want to run? Pay with your life for my boss Yes. Within the dark cave, Yi Zichen leaned against the wall and patted his chest with lingering fear. Heaven never bars one's way. I actually found this dog hole. It had truly been a matter of life and death. When Yi Zichen saw that Xianyuan's sword was unable to shatter the rock, his heart sank. Fortunately, he caught a glimpse of a dog hole. He had also unleashed the potential of a human's desire to survive and burrowed his way in. Xianyuan Xiang, can you do it or not? I trusted you so much, but you nearly screwed me over just now, Yi Zichen roared at Xianyuan's sword. Not long after, Xianyuan Xiang materialized and snorted. It's all your fault. I'm a growth-type divine artifact. You're the lesser immortal, yet you want to use me to chop the rocks of the immortal world? You must be joking. You're blaming me? Yi Zichen was speechless. You're the Yellow Emperor. The Yellow Emperor was much stronger than you back then. Look at how weak you are now. I don't even want to mock you. Xianyuan Xiang rolled her eyes at him, then glanced at the cave. You're quite lucky to be able to find this refuge. I thought I was going to be sealed again. How can you be an artifact spirit? You even curse your master to die? Yi Zichen couldn't help but retort. Then he snorted and looked at the dark cave. Make this cave brighter. Do you think I'm a light bulb? Activate your fiery golden eyes. As soon as she finished speaking, Xianyuan Xiang walked forward on her own. What an arrogant artifact spirit! Yi Zichen shook his head speechlessly, then obediently activated his fiery golden eyes. The cave was very humid, and there was a pungent smell of dampness in the surroundings. The walls were covered in water droplets, causing them to feel wet. I can't stay here forever. The dog hole has already been blocked by the rocks of the cliff. I have to find another exit. However, there's no need to worry about there being no exit. There's plenty of air here, and I can even feel a breeze. It's clear that there are other exits. Why is there someone living here? Xianyuan Xiang, who was walking in front, muttered. Yi Zichen looked up and saw a door in front of her. Should I push it open? Xianyuan Xiang asked when Yi Zichen walked over. Do you think I should? Yi Zichen asked. You're the master, so of course I have to listen to you. Xianyuan Xiang twitched her mouth. Yi Zichen couldn't help but nod. Since you said you'll listen to me, then go in and scout the way for me. Hey, do you even have a conscience? No. Yi Zichen shrugged. You ate my conscience a long time ago. You! Fine. Open it then. I'm a spiritual body, so if there's a trap inside, then you'll be the one to die. Xianyuan Xiang snorted, then pushed the door open. Virum. A bonfire suddenly lit up in the dark room. Not long later, a voice sounded out in the room. Lucky youngster, I didn't expect you to actually find this place. Your luck is pretty good. There are 2 boxes on the stone table in the middle of the room. One of them is an armor that I used 1,000 years of cultivation to refine, while the other box contains poison that will instantly kill you the moment you open it. Fortune and misfortune go hand in hand, so what you choose will depend on your luck. Of course, you can also choose not to choose, but I'm afraid that you will regret your choice in the future. Him again. Yi Zichen frowned. This geezer, fortune and misfortune go hand in hand. He said it so easily. Putting a treasure and poison together. He was the same just now, he actually used a poisonous snake to tempt me. Why is he so disgusting? Xianyuan Xiang couldn't help but frown. I don't remember him being like this before. Who knows? Yi Zichen snorted, then walked to the center of the room. There were indeed 2 boxes on the stone table. One was red and the other was white. These boxes should be the armor and poison he was talking about. How should I choose? Yi Zichen looked towards Xianyuan Xiang. Xianyuan Xiang looked at him blankly, then couldn't help but frown. Don't tell me that you want me to choose for you. My luck hasn't been particularly good my entire life. I've followed one master and one died. I don't want to choose and let you die as well. But my luck isn't that good either. Yi Zichen shrugged, then raised his eyebrows. How about I go out and you open the box? Call me if you get it right and open the other one if you get it wrong. Aren't you a spiritual body? There shouldn't be a problem. Brat, you're smart. Xianyuan Xiang did not refuse, and even gave Yi Zichen a thumbs up. She tentatively reached towards the box. I can't open it. Just now, her hand directly passed through the box, so she was unable to open it at all. Yi Zichen frowned, then touched the top of the box. It seems like he already predicted that someone would bring an artifact spirit in, so he did it to prevent that from happening. This geezer is rather cautious in that aspect. Yi Zichen shook his head with a wry smile, then scratched his chin with his right hand and stared at the box. He was still wearing the universal Taoist robe that he got from Tai Bai Jinxing. It was fine for an earth immortal with a spiritual body, but it wasn't very effective for a human immortal. If I can get a suitable armor here, but what if I choose the wrong one? At that very moment, ding-dong. Chapter 575. Chief of the 100 Flowers Gate. My phone can connect to the internet? Yi Zichen's first reaction was to look at his social media. Data extraction failed. Please check your network settings. There's no internet. But the system notification did indeed send over. White. He was definitely referring to which one to choose, but how did he know? You're telling me to choose that white box? That's the battle armor inside? Are you sure you didn't screw me over? System notification. Hurry up, there won't be enough time. Yi Zichen could feel just how urgent the system notification was from the message. He frowned and placed his hand on the white box. He shouldn't have specifically sent me this message to screw me over, right? The first stage of the test is over. Congratulations to the 11 teams that successfully formed. You were lucky to survive. However, as for the unfortunate youngster, I can only say that your luck was slightly bad. But no matter, I believe that you will have a better life in your next life. System notification. Hurry up and open it. Another message came. Yi Zichen was worried about Lil, White and company, so he directly opened the box without thinking too much when he saw the system notification. He was greeted by the sight of a set of silver armor that was shining with a halo. There were faint signs of spirit arrays on the surface of the armor. System notification. Put it on or put it away with your phone. Hurry! Yi Zichen scanned his phone and put it away into the treasure chest. The moment he put away the armor, he felt the world spin. When he came back to his senses, he had already appeared in an empty field. What's going on with the system? Did it know what was going to happen just now? Yi Zichen looked at his phone with a frown. At that moment, the system notification had already disappeared. Zichen Ji. A joyful laughter sounded out. Yi Zichen put away his phone, then saw Xia Kiki and company run towards him. Lil White, Zuemo, Fatai, Kongming, Ruan Qingtian, I'm so lucky they're all fine. I've been worried about you guys. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh, then looked around. Why didn't I see Go Yuzhan? Hee, we were rather lucky and landed together. We teamed up the moment the mission came out, Xia Kiki giggled. Then, she noticed Yi Zichen's expression, and couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. Who are you looking for? He's one of my teammates. At that moment, a few more people appeared in the sky. Go Yuzhan appeared with Mu Chengtian hanging from his staff, and Bian Tianrue in his right hand. Go Yuzhan. Go Yuzhan raised his hand and waved towards Yi Zichen. Go Yuzhan was shocked. When he saw that it was Yi Zichen, he chucked Bian Tianrue and Mu Chengtian onto the ground and ran over. Boss Yi, I thought. Go Yuzhan wanted to say something, but stopped. Yi Zichen felt a warmth in his heart, so he patted Go Yuzhan's shoulders. Don't worry. Good brother. Who would have thought? I thought I wouldn't be able to eat that lollipop. Oh my god, I'm so angry. Look at how I beat up those two grandsons. I'm really pissed off. Fortunately, you're still alive and the lollipop is still here. Scram. Yi Zichen's expression instantly darkened. He raised his leg and kicked his butt. Brother Yi, I knew you would be fine. Bai Hai, who was dressed in white, walked over. Beside him was a beautiful woman. I nearly forgot. Let me introduce you. This is my teammate. I heard that she's the chief disciple of the 100 Flowers Gate. You! How could it be you? Yi Zichen raised his hand and looked at the woman in front of him in shock, unable to say anything. I didn't expect to see you here either. Chiefly, you guys know each other? Ruan Qingtian asked in shock. The chief disciple in front of him was someone who rose to fame in the Three Realms recently. Even though he had only appeared for a short while, his talent was shocking. He heard that he only used half a month to break through from the spiritual body to the human immortal level. However, the woman never showed herself easily. The only reason he knew her was because he met her when he went to the 100 Flowers Gate with his father as a guest. Pavilion Master Ruan, the man nodded. I know her, I'm very familiar with her, an old friend. But, I didn't expect. You're still accompanied by a beauty here. Zichengij, who is she? Xia Kiki pouted. Zuomo's expression was rather dark as she continuously scanned the chief disciple's body. Even though she was very confident in her looks and figure, she actually felt a sense of inferiority when she saw this woman. Li Jiai, long time no see. After a long while, Yi Zichen finally suppressed the shock in his heart and sighed. I might as well not see you. Li Jiai smiled, then turned to Bai Hai. You guys chat, I'm going to sit on the side. Zichen Ji, who is that woman? Why are you still messing around when you're here? Xia Kiki bit her lips and snorted. She's my high school classmate, Yi Zichen smiled wryly. Yi Zichen smiled wryly. I didn't expect her to ascend as well, and with such a high level of cultivation. High school classmate? The surrounding people all exclaimed. Xia Kiki was shocked at why Yi Zichen's high school classmate would come here, while the others did not know what high school classmate meant. Never mind, let's not care about that, Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen smiled, then glanced at Li Jiai's back. I didn't expect her to actually choose to remove the birthmark on her face after arriving in the immortal region. I don't think so many people should have come to Mount Supreme's opening, Bai Hai smiled. Indeed, Bai Hai nodded. But one key can bring 3 people in. Even if they aren't our companions, when we enter, someone can come in with us if there's an opening. Those that I haven't seen before might have come in like this. They're pretty smart. Third Fatty Jean twitched his mouth. That's good. The owner of Mount Supreme is a bit twisted. It's pretty good to have more people to help us advance. It'll prevent our people from being disqualified and killed. Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen smiled. Everyone around him couldn't help but nod. Lucky Juniors, you've all rested enough, right? I don't have that much time for you guys to catch up. We need to start the second game. The moment the voice sounded out, everyone quieted down. This person's mind is truly twisted. I wouldn't have come if I knew, Third Fatty Jean muttered. From what I remember, although Lord Netherworld likes to play games, he wouldn't treat people's lives like it's a game. Bai Hai squinted his eyes. I feel like there's more to this. What else could there be? He's just twisted. My boss Yi is right, Third Fatty Jean flattered. However, at that very moment, he suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood, as if he was heavily injured.